And I can look at the camera and say, who do you play for? Who do you work for? Who do you pray for? What's your purpose? The purpose in this room is to have strength, is to have trust, and is to have confidence. Yes, sir. To have that confidence, man. Let's get it, baby. To have that confidence, man. Whatever you want to call it, to have it. Albert, you gonna carry the Virginia flag.
Well, Mike London, no surprise that he was fired up in the line. He was talking to us for a moment there in the locker room. You're watching the ACC on ESPN, and his fans, I think, are ready for a rare Friday night game in Charlottesville. Down on the field right now, the Boise State head coach, Brian Harsin, with our broadcast partner, Allison Williams.
Coach, I know we will see both Tommy Stewart and Brett Rippon, but who will start and why?
Yeah, Brett will go out there first, but you will see both quarterbacks tonight. Felt like last week they did a great job, and, you know, we need both of them to win.
How do you manage playing both, deciding when to put in one guy or the other?
Well, we let them get into a rhythm. There's some packages in there for each guy, and so we've repped it throughout the week. They know the plan, and we're going to stick to it.
Coach, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Allison, good stuff from Brian Harsin. So, indeed, that is a big story, Coach. Brett Rippon, who's one of the, I think, most highly regarded high school players to ever come to play at Boise State. A true freshman. He got game action last week for the first time with their starter Ryan Finley out. Brett Rippon will make his first career start, and likely first of many for the Broncos.
Well, and I think it's the biggest story of the ball game, because when you're playing an unknown, it does create an edge for the rest of the team, because those guys are excited about rallying them around him and trying to help him be comfortable tonight. I'm telling you, and talking to Brian Harsin, he thinks he's going to play good.
Well, he is a super talented kid, number 4, who will not have to come onto the field right away. Boise State has won the toss, and they have deferred. So they're going to kick off deep to Virginia. Smoke Mizell and Albert Reed deep to receive. Taylor Rousa, who is the place kicker for the Broncos. And we are underway in the end zone, and a little hesitation. There will be a return here, and a pretty good return to the right side across the 25 and out of bounds by Olamide Zacchaeus, the true freshman, brings the ball back for the Cavaliers. So now the more experienced junior quarterback, Matt Johns, who is playing well for Virginia, leads the Cavaliers offense on the field.
Yes, the Virginia coaches told us that Matt Johns is a gym rat. He's a film rat. He's very demanding on the players. 5 out of the 6 starts he's had, Dave, he's thrown for more than 200 yards. So they're very, very pleased with the way he's playing at this point.
And he has played well. The offense as a whole for Virginia has been improved. It just hasn't translated into more than the one win they got last week against William & Mary. Fake handoff. Johns is going to try to throw, and immediately pressured. He is intercepted. And Boise State will bring it back for a touchdown. Justin Taimatuia on the first play of the game intercepts Matt Johns, and it's 6-0 Boise State, and that is a familiar posture here in Charlottesville.
Well, you always want to start the game right, and obviously for Boise, you've created that edge. Now what you've got to do for Virginia is settle back down and restart the game for Boise. Don't get arrogant and think that that's the way the night's going to go, because it's very unusual to have a ball thrown up in the air and intercepted by a defensive tackle for a touchdown. Big Justin looked like a running back.
And he is a talented player, part of the very talented front. Tyler Rousa with the extra point, up and good, and that is a nightmare start for the Cavaliers.
Yeah, you go back and look at what happened. Drop back pass on the first play of the game. They felt like they had to be able to throw the ball deep, but it's play action, so they thought everybody would be after Smoke Mizell. Bad mistake by Matt Johns. He's been around too long to do that. He needed to get rid of the ball or eat it here. But when we start looking at Kamale Correa, he is a guy that they said would be an impact player tonight and make the difference, and he's already created a touchdown for the Boise State Broncos. Really good start for Boise State. When you got a great player and you're on the road, Dave, he has to step up and make the play, and really and truly it was more about Kamale Correa than it was Justin.
Yeah, Taimatuia, he did pick the ball off. He took it back in, but you're right, number 8, he is their star pass rusher. He put the pressure on. Tanner Vallejo, number 20, middle linebacker, also one of their best on defense, helped put some pressure on too. And it's a good defensive team. Boise State has a lot of returning stars on that side of the ball. So a second kickoff in the first 15 seconds. Virginia again is going to bring it out. This time more toward the middle and better kick coverage from Boise State. The Cavaliers will start short of their own 20-yard line. So is it possible to hit the reset button and try to just start from here?
Well, you have to. And that's what Matt Johns has to do. Thank goodness he's an older player. He's been out there before. He's made some great plays. He's had some bad plays. So what you've got to do is just move forward, forget that one, and go to the next play.
Well, Mike London cannot be thrilled with the way this game has started. So now the second play of the night for Virginia. And this time they will hand it off. It's going to be tough to run against one of the best run defenses in the country. That's Smoke Mizell, who got the carry. Vallejo with the tackle, but already these two guys have been involved.
Yes, they faked it to Mizell the first play of the game, handed it to him to the second game. Kamalea Correa has already made an impact in this ball game, forcing the interception for a touchdown.
Yeah, he's the linebacker they call the stud, and they sort of use that terminology in a lot of ways because he's so talented. It's almost like they've created a new position for him.
I think it fits.
I do too. Johns in the shotgun. A play fake to Albert Reed with time, and he'll throw incomplete. Double coverage on Kanan Severin, who is by far and away number 9, their top target in the pass game.
Yes, he tried to go to one of the older guys, their top pass receiver, to get something going. Now you're sitting here against a tremendous pass rush, 3rd down and 10. So you'll have to see that they'll either turn back to Correa or they're going to chip him. They're going to double team him. They cannot allow him to be a free rusher. So we got to watch number 8 and see what kind of pressure he puts on Johns.
One receiver right, 3 to the left. Mizell in the backfield, who's going to try to help pass protect. Johns will step up, and he's going to run. Johns will lunge forward and get the first down. Not by much, but he knew how far he needed to go. That's the first down of the game. Well, no, they have spotted it. My goodness, that is not a friendly spot. Listen to the Virginia fans. They can't believe it. And Mike London is just livid on the sideline. Everybody in the building, including me, thought that was a first down. And I think the ball was across the 30-yard line.
It's going to be really close because that's why the officials have such a difficult job. And you love the review because it really makes sure that the player that made the best play has a chance.
Well, I will say this. Watching the replay that second time, I'm not sure you can tell exactly where the ball was when the knee touched the grass. And it could be that they're going to look at this one upstairs. That's Reggie Smith, who is the head referee, part of this Mountain West crew that has come on the road. The replay official, though, is from the ACC.
Well, this is such a key play for Mike London and the Virginia offense, because if they punt, that's 4 plays, and they give the ball on a short field back to Boise State.
Virginia is challenging the ruling on the field that the ball carrier was down short of the line to gain.
Well, and there is a distinction there, and it's important to point it out. The replay official did not buzz down to the field to say, we want to take a look, which in college football, of course, the replay official can do and often does do. This is a challenge from the coach, and we'll see if we can tell when that knee is down. It's down there, and I think they may have gotten it right.
I do too, and usually they do, because if it's even close in their mind, they're going to buzz down and look at it. I don't think I ever won a challenge when they didn't buzz down, Dave. So they're usually right when they keep it that way. This is a very critical play, more for Virginia than it is Boise, because Virginia needs this first down.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Virginia will be charged with their first timeout, and they lose the right to challenge.
So they've lost their right to challenge, plus that timeout is charged against them. And I understand why Mike London did it. It is a critical early play, already having had the pick 6 on the first play from scrimmage, but now Virginia has to punt the ball away, and this has not been routine for the Cavaliers. A booming punt from Nicholas Conti. And nowhere to go. Dante Dion tackled the true freshman Brett Rippon on the field for the first time as a starter when we come back. Dave Fleming, Mac Brown, Allison Williams back here in Charlottesville. What a start for Boise State. A defensive touchdown on the first play from scrimmage. So Boise State leads 7-0. Then they force a punt, and their true freshman Brett Rippon makes his first college start, the native of Spokane. And
talking to Brian Harsin, he's really excited about Brett and what he brings. He thinks he'll play well tonight.
His uncle, you might recognize the last name, Mark Rippon, was an NFL star, a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And Rippon's going to throw the ball on their first play from scrimmage. Complete a pass across the 25, and Chaz Anderson turns it upfield. So a gain of 7, maybe 8 yards on the first pass as a starter from young Brett Rippon.
Well, two things that are obvious is they're going up tempo, which is tough on a young quarterback, but that's who he is, and he throws inside the first time he throws.
Rippon will swing it out right side, and a nice delivery there in stride, but a good open field tackle. Shane Williams-Rhodes with the catch. Wilfred Wahi stopped him just a little bit short of the first down.
Well, two smart throws, but both of them are very accurate. He's very calm in the pocket. They were throws that the protection was going to be really, really good. Important third down and 1.
On third and short, Rippon looks like he's going under center. We'll see. Couple of tight ends in the game. And they hand the ball off. Jeremy McNichols bounces it left side with room. And a lot of speed to midfield. To the 40 down the sideline. And finally steps out of bounds inside the 25. A big play in the run game. Maurice Canaday saved the touchdown. But 47 yards for the sophomore Jeremy McNichols.
It's what I like so much about a Brian Harsin offense. He can be in the spread 1 minute, go to 2 tight ends and run the power off to the left side. McNichols is an outstanding runner, and on third down and short, it's very dangerous to give up a long run.
And of course, you know Brian Harsin very well from your days as the head coach at Texas. He was your offensive coordinator. Now they set up a screen for Shane Williams-Rhodes, picking his way to the sidelines and tripped up inside the 10, inside the 5, down to the 4. The Broncos are on the move.
Eli Drinkwood, offensive coordinator, has really got a good drive going here. He's helping his young quarterback, but they're moving the ball. Most of these throws have been like runs, but they're building the confidence. Now they're going to get in a tighter formation where they can power the ball inside the 5-yard line.
And they may be the best red zone team in the country offensively. Not just the overall score percentage, but about 80% of the time going back a ways, they get into the end zone. McNichols is the tailback. Rippon will pitch it to McNichols. Trying to pick his way forward. Stays on his feet, and he got positive yardage down to about the 2.
And if you're Brian Harsin here, you're probably thinking it's a 4-down situation because your defense is playing so well. If you leave the ball even at the 1-yard line, the field position for Virginia has been horrible this year, Dave. They're the worst in the country at field position, starting at their own 21-yard line. So Brian could leave it down here, but they'll try to score a touchdown on these three extra plays.
That would sort of be rubbing it in if Virginia had to start at the 1, because it has been a huge problem for them. At tight end, Jake Rowe in motion, another handoff. McNichols into the end zone, touchdown. Nobody's got more of those in the country. Jeremy McNichols, his 9th touchdown of the year already. And we're not even 5 minutes in. Boise State has a 2-touchdown lead.
Off to a great start. This is exactly what you want. On the road, flying so far, on the grass, concerned about an edge. They've come out and done everything they needed to do to start this ball game. Virginia's got to wake up and jump back in this ball game immediately.
The extra point up and good. You can see the head coach Brian Harsin very happy with his true freshman Brett Rippon, who led Boise State right down the field. McNichols punctuates it. 14-0 Boise State ahead.
ESPN College Football is presented by Jimmy John's Freaky Fast Sandwiches.
The Cavalier out on the field before the game. Virginia fans were excited before kickoff. The problem is now we've kicked off. And we're not even 5 minutes in, and Boise State has a 2-touchdown lead, 14-0. A defensive touchdown, a pick six from a lineman, and then a very impressive drive, 80 yards in 6 plays, as the Broncos ahead 14-0, and a kickoff into the end zone. Zacchaeus, the true freshman, will take a knee. Let's take another look at that touchdown run from McNichols.
We said that Brian Harsin loved power football. The tight end comes across in motion. The backside guard, Travis Averill, is going to come up through the double team inside of the tight end, knock the linebacker out of the way, and McNichols goes in for the touchdown. 2 key plays, a 3rd and 1 where McNichols backs outside, and a power play off tackle for the score. Power football is really important to the Boise State Broncos.
So that offensive line, which bulldozed its way down the field. Now the defensive line, which is also a standout unit on the field for a 3rd possession for the Cavaliers, and a short run of a couple yards on 1st down from Smoke Mizell. There's a little bit of inexperience in Boise State's secondary, although there's also a lot of experience. They don't have as much depth there. The front 7 is loaded.
We'll probably see Virginia start trying to move the quarterback some because of protection issues against this great Boise front 7.
Albert Reed now the tailback. Johns under center on 2nd and 8, and they're going to give it on the fly sweep type action, and Mizell snuffed out. Read beautifully. Darian Thompson, the safety, Tyler Gray, the linebacker, both were there.
Steve Fairchild, the offensive coordinator for Virginia, told us they had to stay balanced to make this work. Dave, it's going to be impossible to stay balanced if on 1st down you gain 1 yard and on 2nd down you lose 4, because you do not want to be trying to pass the ball downfield against a Boise front on 3rd down and 13. Yeah. Probably be a screen draw, something here that's pretty smart. You can take a deep shot off of a very short drop as well, but it'd probably be a screener draw.
Steve Fairchild, this is not a comfortable down and distance for him, the offensive coordinator. In the pocket, Johns down the field. The pass is high, and it's intercepted. That's Darian Thompson. Thompson brings it back inside the 30. Another Virginia turnover. 2nd interception of the night already. And the Broncos are threatening to blow this game open in the 1st quarter.
This was very good protection. And Matt just threw the ball a little bit higher than he should, but Darian Thompson, 15 interceptions. So he is a guy that's a ball hawk in the middle. Look at the protection. Really good job with a cylinder, keeping people off of Matt. The ball's a little bit too high, and Darian is sitting right there, and he's a guy that can make things happen with the ball afterwards. He is a ball hawk.
Yeah, you mentioned that total. That's his 16th. So he had 15 coming in. That's his 16th career interception. There are not many in the country with more than that. Rippon will throw incomplete off the hands of his receiver, Shane Williams-Rhodes. So that's the first incompletion of the night for the Broncos. And for the Virginia defense, Mac, it just feels like they got to come up with something positive here. If Boise State gets into the end zone, 21-0 halfway through the 1st quarter, the Cavaliers are in big trouble. Yeah,
they've got to change momentum. They've had horrible field position throughout the year. The defensive group for Virginia has not been able to force turnovers. Now's the time to at least stop them or hold them to at least a field goal.
Boise State does like to use those tight ends. You saw Rowe and Huff shift to the left side. And number 82, Thomas Spurbeck, in motion. They're going to swing it to Spurbeck, who can throw down the field. Incomplete. He had his man open. Holden Huff, the tight end. And Thomas Spurbeck, the high school quarterback, who is very good at that. I mean, that was there for the taking, and he just overthrew the tight end.
This is a double pass that Brian Harsin used a lot at Texas. It was all there. It was wide open. Your inside receiver at tight end, he is wide open down the field, and it should have been completed.
Should have been completed. Probably should have been a touchdown.
Now you go to 3rd and 10, so from a touchdown to a 3rd and long.
And who knows, Coach, maybe it is drizzling. Maybe the ball's a little wet. A little less comfortable. Rippon pressured, and he loses the ball. It's on the ground, and I think Virginia has it. There's a fight for the ball. Quanti Moore, the defensive end, is in there, but the ball was ripped back. Brett Rippon comes away with it. That's a pretty big play by the true freshman. David Dean with the pressure, and he knocked the ball away.
That's exactly what Virginia had to do. Their defense stepped up, and maybe that'll excite the offense now. But you got the young freshman quarterback. David Dean's their guy. He's their leader. He's the penetrator up front, and he's the one that forced the fumble from the young freshman. Got to protect the ball better when you're trying to run out of the pocket.
Tyler Rausa, who is perfect on field goals so far this year. This one 51 yards on the way, and it is good. Impressive kick from Tyler Rausa. So the Broncos get the turnover and they get points, only 3, but they make it a 17-0 game.
But it's still a win for the Virginia defense because they forced a kick and they couldn't allow for them to go ahead and get 7 points in that position. Now Matt Johns and the Virginia offense has to step up and get something going. They haven't made a first down, and they've got to get some momentum right now.
So 17-0 Boise State. Let's go down to the sideline and Allison Williams.
Well, guys, kind of interesting. Virginia's defensive coordinator, John Tenuta, usually upstairs in the press box. He has come downstairs to the sideline to address his guys face to face, look them in the eye. Obviously not happy with how things started. He talked to them for quite a bit when he came down here, telling them, among other things, you have to set the front and you need to just line up and play fast. Kind of interesting, guys. Keep an eye on the fact he doesn't have headsets, so we'll see how communication goes down here now that he's on the sidelines.
John Tenuta is one of the best defensive coordinators in the country, and he really calls them himself. Allison, great report, but he doesn't need headsets. And he obviously felt like they were in trouble, so he needed to come down and look them in the eye and stir them up.
This is already the 4th kickoff from Boise State. We've got 7:53 still to go in the first quarter. 17-0 Broncos. Let's check in the studio with Adnan Verth.
All right, Dave, thank you. I never need to stir up Joey Galloway and Danny Cannell. Great baseball over on ESPN2. The Rangers are up 1-0 thanks to Adrian Beltre. Coming in, Houston is 3.5 games back in the AL West, so a critical game over on ESPN2. It's early. Check it out if you like. Dave, back to you.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, Adnan. And now Matt Johns and that Virginia offense on their side. The defense did give them a little something. Starting at the 25 for them, that's decent field position. The worst in FBS average starting field position, the Cavaliers. They've run 7 plays from scrimmage. Matt Johns has thrown 2 interceptions. He's back to pass here. He almost throws another one. Looking for a penalty flag. I don't see a flag intended for TJ Thorpe. The good news is that Thorpe is on the field. He has missed most of the first 3 games, and he's a talented receiver.
Yes, he's a graduate transfer from the University of North Carolina, and Matt Johns told us yesterday he was his favorite guy in preseason. He hurt his shoulder. He's been out until tonight. He's practiced some, so we'll see how much he plays tonight.
Tight end Charlie Hopkins in motion. 3 in the backfield with Johns, and they are going to hand the ball off. Mizell, just no room. That's that defensive front. Second best rush defense in college football, Boise State, and they're showing us why in the first quarter.
Well, and for them to win this ball game, Virginia's got to have passes that are complete downfield. They knew that. Boise's going to lower the safeties. They've got one of the best defensive fronts in college football. Matt Johns has got to get hot because they're putting themselves in a 3rd down and 10 again, and they can't keep putting themselves in those positions.
They've already had a 3rd and 10, a 3rd and 13, now a 3rd and 10. Not comfortable. Johns maybe changing the play. He's got time on the play clock. From the shotgun, and the Broncos bring pressure. Johns flings it up there, and he's got the pass complete. Thorpe along the sideline, stayed in bounds, still stays in bounds. TJ Thorpe, end zone touchdown. And now a penalty flag flies, 2 of them. $75 yards. TJ Thorpe finally healthy, and he takes it to the house.
You see good protection by the Virginia offensive line, and that's tough on 3rd down and 10. Matt Johns stood in there. There's a post corner at the top. He beats the cornerback. He turns upfield. Did he stay in bounds? Did he stay out? I think the question is answered. If anybody wondered whether TJ Thorpe is well or not, I think he's well. Great play by Thorpe to get this bunch stirred up.
Wow, they told us that they had really missed him. Let's hear from Reggie Smith.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both after the play. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense, number 8, giving a throat slash. That is his first unsportsmanlike foul. Unsportsmanlike conduct, defense, number 51. That's also his first unsportsmanlike foul. The distance for those fouls will offset. Try for point, and the ruling on the field of a touchdown is under further review.
Well, Reggie Smith, who is the referee, he is one of the best, I think, in the country at explaining things. He was very detailed. Now they are going to take a look upstairs, but I think you said it, Coach. We had a good first look. I think he stayed in.
Well, these are two good football coaches, and they're not going to put up with anything that's illegal out there, taunting. But it's really, really close. They're going to have to make a real decision whether to come back or not. The good thing is that T.J. Thorpe has excited the Virginia offense either way. And even if they come back, it's the best field position they've had all year, and it gives them a chance to go ahead and score with a short field anyway.
Yeah, the only question is right there. Because after that, I think it's clear that he stays in bounds. That's the spot where it looked close.
Well, all of those players on the Virginia bench know whether he stayed in bounds or not, and they are jumping up and down, so you would think that it's a touchdown.
Well, I think that is the step right there. If there's any question, in or out, and I don't know if you could tell, the video evidence has to be indisputable. Is there a toe, part of the foot on that end line? I don't know if you can tell from that. I mean, that's the spot right there. The rest of the play, I think we know he's fine.
And the official was standing right there looking at the foot to make sure he was in bounds.
After further review, the ruling on the field of a touchdown stands.
Man, is that a big play or what? Virginia down 17-0, facing third and long, nothing going right. And T.J. Thorpe with a spectacular effort.
And they haven't had him in the first 3 weeks. When I talked to Steve Fairchild this spring, I watched their spring practice, and they said they thought he was the best player on their offensive team.
He looked like it there. Ian Fry with the extra point up and good. So T.J. Thorpe back healthy, and he gets Virginia back in this game. Jim Mora, Rich Rodriguez involved in a big one. Tomorrow night, Saturday Night Football presented by Wells Fargo. Number 9 UCLA in Tucson against number 16 Arizona, 8 Eastern on ABC.
Should be a great one. Rich Rod hasn't beat UCLA since he's been there, and you're looking at Rosen against a new Solomon, so it should be fun.
Two good quarterbacks. Short kickoff, and Jeremy McNichols will try to bring it back. This time nowhere to go, and ends up being tackled back around the 18-yard line. So not great field position for the Broncos offense. The whole feel of this game has changed with that 75-yard touchdown pass by Virginia to T.J. Thorpe. Now Brett Rippon, the true freshman quarterback, back on the field.
You got to have a guy step up and make a play to change the momentum of the crowd and the team, and T.J. Thorpe did that.
They have really missed him. Put up numbers at North Carolina. Good numbers with the Tar Heels. That's his first catch as a Cavalier. David Lucero, tight end in motion, and they will hand the ball off. Left side running with good pursuit from Virginia, and Devin Demas goes backwards.
Good penetration, something that Virginia had to do. You see a little twist up front. And all of a sudden, you're looking at Micah Kaiser, who is their guy. He's the leader in the middle. You got to be strong down the middle, running down the speed sweep.
He's the guy, when you watch game tape from Virginia, he stands out. He's making plays for a defense that needs some more big plays. Rippon now on the move. Being pressured, throws on the run, and just throws it out of bounds.
Outstanding job by John Tenuta, who just went down to the boundary to put pressure on the young quarterback on 2nd down and 15. John Tenuta, as good as there is in the country at bringing pressure. Now you've got your young quarterback at 3rd down and 15, 3rd down and 14. Be smart with the ball.
And Boise State, the crowd has gotten a lot louder. Broncos moved.
And again, young quarterback. They've had trouble with false starts all year. They're not sure why. They're frustrated with it. Could be the crowd.
Full start. Offense, number 73. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
That's Travis Averill, and I don't think it was only him, but he's the guy who gets penalized.
And this is the first pressure that Brett Rippon has had. So he's on the road. It's cool. Crowd's excited. They just had a long play against them for a touchdown. Be smart here, Brett. Brian's going to be smart. This will be a screen, a draw, or something deep. He's not going to make him throw across the middle.
Well, you saw those numbers. The penalties overall have been a big problem. That's a completion with some blockers out in front, but not nearly enough room. Shane Williams-Rose just tossed out of bounds. Wilfred Wahi, Quinn Blanding, both were there. Boise State's going to have to punt, and from deep in their own territory.
Well, then what a series for Virginia. Sometimes it's harder to play at home on Friday because 10 Virginia players had to go to school today. There's more distractions with families around. It's easier sometimes to go on the road and create your edge.
And I think we will see a lot of that, Coach, with Brian Harsin and his young quarterback talking to each other. It's a teaching game for a true freshman starting for the first time in his college career. Sean Whale, the punter, who's a good one. A high punt and taken around the 40-yard line of the Cavaliers with room to run up the middle. Maurice Canaday will give Virginia much better field position than they're used to having as the Cavaliers offense will come back on the field.
Boise State's defense came after him early, got Matt Johns in trouble. The best player for Boise State's defense set the tempo for this ball game, and then the guy with 15 interceptions. Damian comes back and he intercepts the ball, and then Virginia comes back and makes the play. So now Virginia, with really good field position for them, has to continue to move forward with the momentum. Matt Johns should be much more confident now after that throw for a touchdown.
Well, this one's hard to believe. This is game 4 for the Cavaliers. This is the second time all year they've started in an opponent's territory. Mizell drops the ball. That was an easy completion in the left flat, but Smoke Mizell dropped it over the 2nd and 10. The second time all year they've started to drive across the 50-yard line.
Well, and he's got the best hands on the team, maybe, so it's very unusual for Smoke Mizell to drop the ball. Probably got a little bit anxious, tried to turn up too soon. They got to settle down and make sure that they look the ball in their hands.
And I thought that was an interesting point you made about being the home team on a Friday night game with class in session. A lot of these players did go to class today.
Boise came in on Wednesday, so they've been away from all the distractions.
Johns from the shotgun, 2nd and 10. Trying for perhaps a screen type play. Now he's just going to throw the ball away. There's number 8 in pursuit once again. That was Kamalai Correa, who is causing all kinds of problems for the Virginia offensive line.
Well, smart play by Matt Johns, but now we're back to the familiar 3rd down and 10. And this is where they hit the touchdown pass last time. Let's see if he throws the ball down the field. They said they were going to be balanced. 2 throws, 1 dropped, 1 thrown out of bounds. Let's see what 3rd down does.
And not really in field goal range. Could be the type of spot on the field where you could go for it on 4th down if you don't make it. Three-man rush. Johns is still going to be pressured. Johns out of the pocket, now going to cut back toward the middle. His own lineman gets in his way, and Johns is just going to go down.
And now you're in a position where you have to punt because Ian Fry could kick it from the 30, 35-yard line and have a chance. But now, since they're 4th down and 11, you can't fake it. You've got to try to pooch punt it and get it inside the 15 to 10-yard line.
Yeah, and I think the key you said there, it's 4th and 11. If they had even gotten 5 yards there, maybe they go for it on 4th and 5, 4th and 6, something like that. Dante Dion comes up to try to take the punt, but it'll kick out of bounds around the 13-yard line. Well, if you are going to be out and about tomorrow on a college football Saturday, you don't have to miss any of the action while you're on the go. Stream every game live. Download the Watch ESPN app or go to watchespn.com. And you might want to get that Watch ESPN app fired up early because we got 3 really good ones to start the day tomorrow. Noon Eastern, BYU, Michigan, LSU, and Leonard Fournette at Syracuse. Big one in the ACC, Georgia Tech and Duke. Just part of a huge day of college football tomorrow. So Brett Rippon still in at quarterback, the true freshman. Penalty flag thrown. He completes the pass to Thomas Spurbeck. Spurbeck gets ahead to about the 25-yard line. Good enough for a first down if the play stands.
When you get in a little bit of trouble and you lose momentum, go to your guy.
Offside. Defense, number 34. The penalty is declined. Result of the play, first down.
And I think Thomas Spurbeck, in a lot of ways, number 82, is their guy.
He is their guy. He's been around, so Brian Harsin smartly took the freshman quarterback and threw to the older guy. Big first down to get him a little bit better field position.
That Fiesta Bowl win for Boise State last year against Arizona. Spurbeck, 12 catches, 199 yards. Rippon will go down. And that just looked like a totally busted play. That's not the strength of Brett Rippon's game.
No, it was zone read, and sometimes as an offensive coordinator, you try to do something that you think the Virginia defense would not expect. And everybody's talked about him being an average runner, being a great passer, so they tried to pull one on him there in that second 12.
Four receivers for the Broncos. A play fake in the pocket. That throw short, complete to the tight end who turns it upfield with a block. Holden Huff on the move into Virginia territory. Finally tackled inside the 35 down to the 31. And for the second time of the game, I think Maurice Canaday had to save a touchdown with a tackle down the field.
Well, Virginia brought some people. You can see that the defensive back got picked off there. And outstanding throw by the young quarterback. They've got him settled down. I'm very impressed with his composure early in this game.
47-yard completion, and now the handoff up the middle. McNichols inside the 30 down to the 28 for a gain of 3.
You're looking at so many starts with these offensive linemen. I think you'll see Boise now try to be more balanced, mix in some runs, take some pressure off the freshman quarterback, because they can run the football when they get in the red zone, and they're nearing that distance right now.
Kelsey Young, the graduate transfer from Stanford, now is the tailback for Boise State. Williams Rhodes in, and it is a different quarterback. That was Thomas Stewart pitching it to Shane Williams Rhodes. Penalty flag thrown on the play right in the middle of that offensive line, in the spot where you anticipate holding. Stewart came in for the play.
Holding. Offense, number 71. 10-yard penalty. Repeat third down.
Well, it was not third down. It was second down. So I'm assuming that Reggie Smith means repeat second down. Reese Odhiambo, who is a very talented left tackle, called for the hold.
And they put Thomas Stewart in there to set up some plays later. That was the speed sweep, a little toss. It was actually a pass, but they'll have some options off of that later in the game.
Brett Rippon back in at quarterback, 2nd and 16 after the holding call. Another play fake. Rippon has time. He'll throw. It is incomplete, broken up. Intended for Chaz Anderson. Tim Harris with a nice play.
Tim Harris is a guy that wasn't supposed to start. Nicholson had the injury. Good for Tim Harris that he steps up. Long throw across the field, but he breaks on the ball and knocks it out of the receiver's hands.
One of their starters, one of their most experienced defensive backs, Demetrius Nicholson, not playing out of tonight's game, and Harris got the start in his spot.
Now you try to get in field goal range if you can't get it all. Try to get it down to the 30.
Spurbeck in motion. Pressure comes. Rippon throws. Tipped up in the air and incomplete. And I think Brett Rippon felt the heat that time. He got hit.
Really good pressure from the Virginia defense, and that's when you see Zach Bradshaw coming in there. Zach's a guy that loves to blitz, and Tenuta loves it, so they're going for the long field goal.
Wow. Well, we already saw a long one, 51 yards. Good from Boise State earlier in this game. Oh, they're going to test the limits of Tyler Ralston now. This one will be 54 yards.
I think, again, you trust your defense or you wouldn't kick it from here.
The kick is on the way, fading, and it hits that upright and bounces away, no good. A pretty good effort from 54 yards, but a little bit wide right. The Virginia defense ultimately holds.
And this is what Virginia's defense has to do. Since John Tenuta's come out of the press box, they need to put pressure on the young quarterback, stop the running game, make him make plays to win the game. And they have to have stops like this. Plus now, for Virginia, in their bad field position all year, they've got the ball about the 37-yard line, so that's better than normal field position.
A pretty good effort by the junior Tyler Rousa, but no points for the Broncos. So the Boise State defense back on the field. Matt Johns from the shotgun. Johns hands the ball off. Left side running. And some powerful running from Daniel Ham, the sophomore. Tough running to get just a couple of yards.
Virginia's trying to run the football. Steve Faircloth trying to run the football and stay balanced on first down. They're just getting nothing. All of a sudden now you're 2nd down and 8. Big push by that front from Boise State.
So there's Steve Fairchild, the offensive coordinator. On 2nd and 8. Hopkins and Evan Butts, the tight ends who move, and then Butts goes back in motion. Johns rolling right, plants and throws, incomplete. Intended for T.J. Thorpe.
Once again, it looks like he had a chance. Steve Fairchild called the right play. Steve was the head coach at Colorado State, and he's been in the pros. He knows what he's doing. Matt Johns has got to get the ball down. He's throwing it a little bit high tonight.
And you can see there, even in that shot, it's not a downpour, but it has stayed wet since kickoff. It's been a constant drizzle here in Charlottesville as we approach the final minute of the first quarter. A lot has happened in this first quarter.
Now you've got the game settled down, Dave. You can't throw an interception. Can't have a turnover here. Keep the right to punt.
3rd and 8. Another 3-man rush, but here comes a 4th rusher. Straight in. Johns gets away for the moment, but he's got nowhere to go with the football. Steps out of bounds and maybe behind the line of scrimmage for a loss of a yard. Tanner Vallejo came in with the pressure.
Tanner's one of their best football players. He's tough. He had the delayed blitz. You saw him start to drop. He saw that it was a drop back pass, and none of the backs were out to his side, so it gave him the right to rush the passer. He pushes Matt Johns out of bounds. Good stop by Boise.
Now flags thrown.
Prior to the snap, delayed game, offense, 5-yard penalty.
Mike London doesn't agree. I think Boise State was coming after the punter there.
I think there are two.
It's 4th down.
And Boise State thinks they can block a punt. That's something that's very.
I think that's going to make. I think Virginia's going to go for it now. But the penalty was actually, so that was a big-time miscommunication from the officials. That was an illegal substitution against Boise State. It does move the ball 5 yards further up.
Coach London having a little conversation with an assistant.
Conti was pressured. A high, shorter punt. Fair catch made at the 20 by Dante Dion. 45 seconds to go here in quarter number 1.
Virginia was concerned about their kicking game. They had a punt blocked last week against William and Mary, and so far their kicking game's been very good. Kennedy had a really good return. He had a 74-yard return for a touchdown last week. Kicking game will be a real factor tonight before this thing's over.
Well, your assessment of the true freshman Brett Rippon so far?
He's been accurate. He's been calm. Coaches are handling it well. Let's see if he can get a long drive.
6 of 10, 88 yards. Throws complete right side to one of his tight ends. That's Jake Rowe, who's a converted wide receiver for the completion across the 25. Nice gain on first down. We're here on Friday night. Boise State a long way from home. A very talented Broncos team against a Virginia team 1-2, desperate for a win on a wet 62-degree night in Charlottesville. Dave Fleming, Mac Brown, Allison Williams with you. Rippon, complete, no, incomplete, dropped by Spurbeck. And whether that was the wet ball or whether he was looking upfield before he had it, it's incomplete, 3rd and 1.
Well, Smoke Mazzell dropped a ball very similar to that one for Virginia. When you start looking at Thomas Spurbeck, that's 2 of the best football players in this game. I would say that the weather is a factor.
I'm with you. So now it's 3rd and 1. That was going to be first down Boise State and getting closer out toward midfield. 3rd and 1 from their own 29-yard line on what could be the final play of the first quarter. Rippon under center, play fake. They're going to throw the ball. Rippon is pressured and he goes down. Sacked by the Cavaliers defense. Mike Moore got there. Quaddy Moore got there as well. And that will be the final play. It is a good one from the Cavaliers' perspective. Disastrous start for Virginia. Pick 6 on their first play from scrimmage. Boise State was taking it to them, but the Cavaliers hanging in there and making it a game. End of quarter number 1 in Charlottesville. Boise State 17, Virginia 7. Well, it's 17-7 Boise State over Virginia. Start of the second quarter. Dave Fleming, Mac Brown, Allison Williams with you from wet Charlottesville on this Friday night. Broncos got off to a tremendous start, but the Cavaliers with a touchdown to get within 10 points, and their defense has definitely settled in. Now Maurice Canaday had a touchdown return last week on a punt, but a couple of flags on the field here after this return. So likely the Cavaliers will be moving backwards. 44-yard punt, 15-yard return, but the penalty.
During the return, block in the back, receiving team, number 30. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
So that means it won't be quite as good field position for the Cavaliers, which is not an unfamiliar spot for Virginia. Boise State pick 6 on the first play from scrimmage. Coach Jeremy McNichols, who's got 9 touchdowns. Nobody in college football has that many. But the big 75-yard pass play to T.J. Thorpe was a game changer for Virginia.
Well, momentum has changed now, and that hurts Virginia. They can't have mistakes in their kicking game because Maurice Canaday, we have seen he's a guy who can take it all the way. Now Virginia needs to at least get it on the other end of the field.
Yeah, they've had that one pass play. Otherwise, the offense has not been very effective. They'll empty the backfield, including Mizell to the right side. Johns all alone in the shotgun. They'll get rid of the ball quickly. He's got a wide open target out there on the left side, complete for a first down. That's Daniel Ham across the 35 to about the 38, 14 yards.
Virginia came out in a no-back set. It's wide open. Boise decided to blitz it up inside, left the guy wide open. Good start for Virginia.
And now Virginia sends a whole new personnel group. The Cavaliers are not an up-tempo offense typically. They like to huddle it up. They take their time.
And both of these groups use a lot of different formations and personnel groupings.
Johns under center with Jordan Ellis now as the tailback. And they move a fullback into position as well. Play fake to Ellis. Johns going deep down the middle. Incomplete. And T.J. Thorpe had a step, but it's incomplete. It'll be 2nd and 10. The other big play guy in the pass game, Kanan Severin for Virginia. For more on him, let's go downstairs to Allison Williams.
Yeah, you see Severin targeted there, back out on the field, but the Virginia medical staff spent some time examining him on the sidelines. They had the stethoscope out. This is especially concerning because he does suffer from sickle cell trait, so any signs of fatigue need to be closely monitored. It often causes athletes to tire more quickly, take longer to recover. They examined him for a bit. He took some oxygen, grabbed his helmet, and got back out there, guys, but something to keep an eye on.
Okay, we'll pay attention. Good stuff, Allie. You could see the oxygen mask there from a moment ago. Now a little screen play, and Boise State read that. Ben Weaver, the linebacker, with the sure tackle after a gain of 1 to Smoke Mizell.
They move Mizell out to a flank position, which he will play in the slot. He plays outside as a wide receiver when there are no backs. That's something they can do, but a very, very good play by Ben Weaver. That's 2 really good plays for him.
Well, no running back in the country has caught more passes out of the backfield than Mizell, but he's yet to break one in this game. Early second quarter, 3rd and 9 for the Cavaliers. Johns throws. He's got his man caught. First down into Boise State territory. Keon Johnson.
Really good protection for Matt Johns. He stood tall. He threw off the back foot this time and followed through. You can see there's no pressure on him. Good follow through. Really good throw. He's been throwing it high early in the game. Seems like he has his confidence now, and Virginia's taking the momentum in this game.
That's 23 yards on 3rd and 9. So now well into Boise State territory to the 38. 1st and 10, Virginia. Johns will hand the ball off. And a cut upfield, just not a lot of room. That's Daniel Ham once again, who's getting some work in this first half.
And people would wonder why Steve Fairchild continues to run the ball when nothing's there. You get more yards in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th quarter when you start beating the defense down a little bit. You can't give up on the run in this ball game, because if you do, you can't protect against that Boise front 7.
Virginia has 7 total rush yards in the game. They'll hand it off again, and they add a yard or 2 to that total. Not much more. This time it was Ellis inside the 35-yard line to the 34 to set up another 3rd down for UVA.
Well, there's a few moans about running the ball again, but you're sitting here 3rd and 6 instead of 3rd and 11. You could go 4 downs here, because you've got an opportunity. If you get this play within 4th and 1 or 2, I would think that Virginia would probably try to make the 1st down.
You made the point that he did not look good early. Matt Johns started 1 of 8, since then 3 of 4. The 2 picks in those first 8 attempts as well were huge in this game. Play clock winding down. 3rd and 6. Johns with time. Steps up and he will throw complete. The tackle short of the 1st down, Daniel Ham, and now we may test that theory. You just brought it up, where it could be 4 down territory, but it looks like they're going to send the field goal team out onto the field, and that means Ian Fry.
I think they'd like to get this back to a 1-score game if they can.
So on 4th and 3, Ian Fry, career long of 53. He's not been quite as reliable this season. This one from 48. Snap was good. Hold was good. Kick on the way is no good. The Boise State defense comes up with a stop. Still 17-7 Broncos. 17-7 Boise State leading Virginia in the 2nd quarter. Well, I think one of the enduring images so far of this college football season happened right here in Charlottesville. Week 2, Notre Dame was here. You remember the last-second touchdown pass, Will Fuller. Notre Dame beats Virginia. And, yeah, sad Virginia fan. He did become a social media sensation. Our own Sports Nation said, cheer up. You are a sensation, sad Virginia fan. Well, guess what? We found him. He's here again tonight. And after the Virginia touchdown, he has cheered up a little bit. He's back supporting his Cavaliers. Brett Rippon, wide open receiver on 1st down to midfield and more. That's Chaz Anderson, a coverage breakdown from Virginia. Anderson for 22 yards.
Sometimes when you're showing a lot of different coverages, you can get some confusion in the back end, and obviously there they left him wide open.
Quickly to the line of scrimmage, so quicker tempo here into Virginia territory. A handoff, straight ahead running McNichols with very little room. I think he got back to the line of scrimmage, but no more.
Virginia's playing with so much more confidence, and when you start slowly, your guys like David Dean have to step up and lead this team. He forced the fumble earlier in the night, has a good stop there, 2nd down and long.
So it's 2nd down and 10 for the Broncos. Rippon, the true freshman quarterback, his first start tonight. Pressured, but he hits his man. Right side, that's the tight end Jake Rowe, fights forward, and I think he got there. Took on that freshman All-American from last year, the safety Quinn Blanding, and he blew him backwards by a couple of yards to get a Boise State 1st down.
Well, Jake Rowe's a converted wide receiver, and he's a guy that can really run. When you start looking at the pressure that David Dean put on the quarterback here, great job of the young guy sitting in there for the throw and taking the hit. He's growing up fast.
McNichols shifts, and they'll throw it to Jeremy McNichols, setting up the screen. Cuts it upfield. Good patience to follow his blockers. And another Boise State 1st down to that 25-yard line.
Boy, this was a great call. The Boise State offensive staff, they were pressuring from that corner. The screen was set up, and He just turned around and caught the ball with nobody out there. So this was outstanding with the pressure off the corner. Good touch by the young quarterback. And all of a sudden, McNichols has got another first down.
Yeah, you saw those big offensive linemen, Stephen Baggett, the right tackle, Mario Yaku, both out blocking for McNichols. So Boise State up by 10 on the move. They got the ball back after the long missed field goal. Now Rippon, a little misdirection play. He's got his tight end row again to the 15. Tackled at around the 10-yard line. Now we're seeing that mixing and matching from this Brian Harsin Boise State offense.
This is Brian Harsin to a T. They looked like they were sprinting the young quarterback to the left. And they had the tight end delayed screen back behind him. Really good mechanics. And then you've got big old 66 out there, Yaku, leading the way for him. Really good play selection on this series.
Yeah, good point. That's the second play in a row where we've spotlighted that right tackle. Now they'll swing it out left side. McNichols with the catch to the 5. He'll walk in, end zone touchdown. That was easy and impressive. 23 on the board now for the Broncos with the extra point coming.
Well, and that's a 10-point swing. He missed the long field goal, and all of a sudden Boise's got to go back. This is outstanding perimeter blocking out to the left because it's like a run. You throw the ball out to McNichols. Everybody's on the ground. Look at those blocks. So good outside. Holden Huff made the key block to get McNichols in the end zone.
Another touchdown for Jeremy McNichols. That's number 10 on the year. Extra point up and good. Just beautiful play calling, Coach, I thought, all drive long.
It was unbelievable. And perimeter blocking like a run. It's a sweep.
Quarterback pays dividends.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by The Martian, October 2nd, only in theaters, and Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy.
Football program may be struggling, but it's been a great year for Virginia Athletics. National champions in soccer, in tennis, in baseball, in Omaha. Trying to get the football thing going 24/7. Cavaliers struggling here at home with the kickoff coming after the Boise State touchdown drive and a short kick. The true freshman Zacchaeus will bring it out across the 20. Multiple flags are thrown to the 25-yard line, but I think more poor field position for Virginia. That has been one of the stories of their season. And we'll get the call from the referee, Reggie Smith.
Holding, receiving team number 85. 10-yard penalty, first down.
College Game Day built by the Home Depot. 3 hours of the very best college football analysis. Herbie, Dez, Reese, Coach Corso, they're all getting ready from Tucson. You had a lot of smiles during the day. 9 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. Coach Corso, they got the warm weather shirts on. It's beautiful down in the desert as they are there for UCLA and Arizona. A huge one in the Pac-12. Tomorrow night, handoff on first down. Virginia just not anywhere to go for Jordan Ellis. Tanner Vallejo in on the tackle once again. So the defense playing well. How about the Boise State offense, Coach, on that last drive? 6 total plays. 5 of them went for 10 or more yards. The true freshman quarterback Brett Rippon was 5 for 5, 69 yards. And the touchdown pass, they never had a third down.
Brian Harsin loses Mike Sanford to Notre Dame. Hires Eli Drinkwitz from Auburn. Gus Malzahn, Gene Chizik. And they haven't missed a beat.
24/7. What an impressive first half for the Broncos against the team from the ACC. Johns now backpedaling into the end zone. He's got to be careful, and he throws the ball away. There's nobody there. And he was inside the tackle box. I don't know if the ball got back to the line of scrimmage. They're going to throw the penalty flag. I don't think it got back to the original line.
The quarterback under stress threw the pass where there was no receiver. Intentional grounding. Offense number 15. The foul occurred in the end zone. The result is a safety.
Well, Coach, Mike London doesn't like it, but you could just see that one coming as the play developed.
You can. Boise's defense did a good job of showing a rush, but rushing 3 and then dropping 8. And this is a coverage sack. There's no place to go. So people will be on Matt Johns. He had to try to throw it away, but it's good contained by the defensive lineman of Boise. And all of a sudden, Harsin loves it. Poor field position, holding on the kickoff, backs him up. And now you not only give them 2 more points. Since that missed field goal, you've got 9 points, but now you have to punt the ball or kick the ball back to Boise State with a hot young quarterback.
So the intentional grounding and just another poor play for Virginia and their quarterback Matt Johns. It has been a struggle against what is a talented, what is a good Boise State defense. But 26-7, and Mack makes the point where they've got to give the ball back to Boise State now after the safety. Intentional grounding in the end zone means a safety. You can see from that replay the ball didn't make it back to the line of scrimmage. There was nobody in the area. So I think an easy call for this crew. Another big play. They made a big play right away. First play from scrimmage tonight was a pick 6 by a defensive lineman. Boise State's defense is leading this game 9-7. Don't even put the Broncos offense into it. So the defense has put points on the board. The ball bounces and will kick out of bounds. And now the flag is thrown. Went out of bounds on that free kick. Pretty savvy play, I think, from Shane Williams-Rhodes.
Free kick out of bounds by the kicking team. The ball will be placed at the 50-yard line. First and 10.
So that is a huge penalty. We'll check in quickly with Adnan in the studio.
All right, Dave, thank you very much. Just a friendly reminder, over on ESPN2, the Astros 3.5 games back of the Rangers, top spot in the AL West. It's Yovani Gallardo versus Scott Kazmir on the mound. Mascot's enjoying himself. 3-0 Texas right now in the bottom of the third over on the Deuce. Dave, back to you.
All right, thanks, Adnan. Thanks for the update. When's the last time you saw, I mean, we don't see free kicks all that often. We don't have a ton of safeties, but an out-of-bounds free kick, the ball goes to the 50-yard. I can't remember the last time I saw that. Brett Rippon, the true freshman, on target. Thomas Spurbeck with the catch. And maybe that'll get number 82 going. He's one of their stars. He's had a quiet first half with a drop, a missed big play opportunity in the passing game.
And Brett Rippon has gotten hot. You can just see him growing with confidence. And again, I think the Boise staff's gotten him on target.
First and 10 Broncos. Rippon steps up, throws short, pass is complete, out into the open field. McNichols inside the 25. So now we see that play more and more where the quarterback running forward, approaching, wasn't maybe designed that way, but approaching the line of scrimmage, stays behind it and finds McNichols.
Well, Brett didn't look like Vince Young there.
No, he did not.
He was going forward, but smart play. He knows he's not a runner, but he moved up in the pocket. He drew the linebackers up and flipped it to a better player, better runner.
You mentioned that Auburn influence this year with Eli Drinkwitz, the new offensive coordinator. That's kind of an Auburn-style play. Another completion to Jake Rowe, who is such a weapon as the tight end. Brett Rippon is 14 of 19, now 15 of 20. He's gone over 200 yards. He's a true freshman. This is his first college start.
And all of these plays are designed to handle pressure, and that's what we're seeing him do.
And you mentioned he's gotten hot. He's 8 for his last 8.
That's pretty hot.
Handoff. McNichols squirts through. It wasn't a big hole, but he got a couple of yards to set up 3rd and short.
You see it comes down to second down and 3, and they're going to run the power play. And now they've got two downs to make a 3rd down and short.
Well, Boise State led 17-0. The touchdown, big play for Virginia. Their defense started to play better. Things were feeling much better for the Cavaliers, and now it's slipping away from them. This is huge. Rippon, pressured, throws, and caught with a big hit. Immediately, the tackle in the open field by Tim Harris, who's playing well. It's 4th down.
They brought the pressure from the corner. Good hot read again. Outstanding play by Tim Harris. Really good hit, legal hit. Good job by McNichols hanging on to the football. And now Brian Harsin will go ahead and kick the field goal because he wants to make it 29 and doesn't want to take a chance on 4th and 2.
We've seen the strong leg already for Tyler Rouse. He's got a career-high 51-yarder in this game. This one just 30 yards. And his kick is up and good. The kicking game has been a lot more solid for Boise State in this. Then for Virginia, 5:11 to go until halftime. Broncos lead 29-7.
USC, Arizona State, Saturday at 10.
Well, Virginia's junior quarterback Matt Johns had been having a solid year, but coach, tonight he has made a lot of mistakes.
Well, and a lot of those mistakes have been caused because of the pressure of the Boise defense. We knew how good they were. He didn't get started right. He got back on track, and now the momentum has completely turned back to where he's in trouble. But also, you're sitting there now, if you're Steve Fairchild, what do you do? Because you're down 29-7. You've got to get some points here with the last 5:11, but you can't just drop back and throw the ball. You've still got to stay balanced.
Zacchaeus, the true freshman in the end zone, sort of bobbled it. He will bring it out and cuts it back to the 20, trying to get to that edge to the 30. Shows some speed outside to the 35-yard line. So that could help this Virginia offense as they try to get something going before halftime.
Well, Mike London talked yesterday about the kicking game being so key, and they need to improve in the kicking game. They've done a good job in their return game, and that gives them field position out to the 35.
5 of 13 with the 2 interceptions, plus the intentional grounding that went for a safety from the end zone. Not the first half that Matt Johns was hoping to have.
And very few rushing yards from their offense, too.
On first down, they'll pitch it to Mizell. Mizell has to struggle just to get it across the line of scrimmage. Got a yard.
I've been a play caller when things aren't working, and it's really, really tough for Steve Fairchild. And he's got to keep trying everything to see if he can find something to get his momentum back.
Matt Johns, number 15, won the job, and it's sort of become a famous quarterback battle. Grayson Lambert was here, was the primary starter last year for Virginia. In the spring, though, they told Matt Johns he was going to be the starter. Grayson Lambert transferred as a graduate, playing immediately at Georgia and playing well in the SEC. That pass is caught over the middle. Kanan Severin, first down into Boise State territory, down to the 48.
Well, and T.J. Thorpe stood up and made a great play to lead to their first touchdown. And now you've got Severin, who Allison talked about with a sickle cell trait, that's hanging in there, got his wind back, he's rested, and guys like that have to step up and make plays to get Virginia back on the board.
Well, the sophomore safety Dylan Sumner-Gardner hurt after that play. That ball may have been tipped, and it was still completed.
And a very good pickup by the offensive line of Virginia.
That leg got almost bent in a funny way, and you could tell right away that Sumner-Gardner was hurting. Sophomore, one of the highest profile recruits to ever come to Boise State, originally committed to Texas A&M. Still a young player. They think he's got a chance to be a real good one in the defensive backfield, but he's hurting.
Yes, we actually recruited him at Texas. I went to visit him. He is a really, really good football player.
Well, they're going to help him up and help him off the field, not putting much weight at all on that right leg. Well, he wants to walk off on his own power. That is a good sign, whether he comes back in this game or not.
And another good thing about a Thursday or Friday night game, you've got an extra day or two to get well. So that's one of the reasons coaches like to play. They get a lot more exposure when they're the game of the night, but also it gives you an extra day or two to prepare for the other team and get some injuries well.
And it's funny, usually you work with a slightly shorter week of preparation. For Boise State, not the case. They played last Friday, so it's a regular week for them, even with the travel. Virginia played on Saturday. Under 4 minutes to go until halftime. A little pump fake. Now Johns checks down short. Severin hung on to the ball, but took a big hit at the 45.
Well, you can see they've got their go-to guy, senior Kanan Severin, out there, and they're trying to get him the ball so he can make some plays and get their offense stirred up.
And, Coach, I think that guy, number 51, Ben Weaver, the redshirt junior from Klein, Texas, he's playing a nice first half.
He is really playing well. They thought they had to tackle well in space, and he's made a couple of great plays.
2nd and 7 for Virginia. The fullback in the backfield, Vincent Croce, will stay in to block that pass. Nice delivery to Mizell with the speed. Out into the open to the 10, to the end zone. Touchdown. Smoke Mizell. Virginia needed that one badly. 45 yards.
Really good play call by Steve Fairchild. We said he had to find something with his go-to guys to make it. He put Smoke Mizell out of the backfield, gets him in a zone with the linebackers, and they needed to score. So all of a sudden, Dave, we're back to 3 minutes left to go, and that 14 points could make a difference in this ball game with a lot of momentum going into the last 3:09.
They call him Smoke. You can see why. Touchdown, Cavaliers. Big doubleheader in college football tomorrow right here on ESPN. First at 7, college football primetime presented by Hilton. Number 14 Texas A&M to take on a desperate Arkansas team in the SEC. Then number 19 USC trying to bounce back on the road in Tempe against the Sun Devils. 10:30 Eastern, also right here on ESPN. Cavaliers crowd trying to get back into this one. A big touchdown drive for Virginia. 29-14 Boise State. And it's going to be Kelsey Young to take this kickoff right near the goal line and bring it back up the middle. Kelsey Young across the 20 and tackled there. Check in the studio with Adnan Virk.
All right, Dave, thank you very much. Coming up on our halftime report, Danny Cannell and Joey Galloway will break down what to expect when it comes to UCF.
All right, Adnan, we'll look forward to that from you, from Danny, from Joey, back in our studio. 29-14 Boise State. And the official, Reggie Smith, just came on the microphone. We did not see the flag on the ground, but they are marking off some extra yardage. It was offsides on the kickoff. So that means 5 extra yards for Boise State. And let's see how aggressive Brian Harsin and company are with the 29-14 lead. 3:03 to go until halftime. On first down, handing the ball off, Kelsey Young. Straight ahead to about the 29-yard line. Well, the Broncos could not have gotten off to a better start. Dave Fleming, Mac Brown, Allison Williams here on this drizzly. It's not been a downpour, but a wet night in Charlottesville on this Friday night under the lights for the first time on a Friday night in this stadium. Pass caught, complete. Right side, that's Thomas Spurbeck. Good open field tackle by Maurice Canaday to set up third down.
This is a big down both sides, Dave. If they get the first down here, they've got 3 timeouts. They'll open it up. But if they come up with a 4th down and short, they'll probably punt.
Virginia almost jumps. Boise got to the line quickly. Now they'll have plenty of time to make an adjustment to the call.
Virginia's coming after them. Now they might back out and change their call as well. Still coming.
Rippon throws over the top and almost intercepted. Incomplete, intended for Shane Williams-Rhodes. Wilfred Wahi, he's made some big plays in the secondary. He's thinking he should have come up with that one.
Good call by John Tenuta. He brought them all up in front to pressure the young quarterback. Man-to-man coverage. The throw was behind. It's a wet ball. Very good stop by Virginia. Now with 2:07 left, they have 2 timeouts. Can they go back and cut the lead a little bit more right before the half?
And they have a dangerous return man as well. That is Canaday. Sean Whale, flags thrown before the punt was off.
Ball start. Offense, number 47. 5-yard penalty, and it's 4th down. Please reset the game clock to 2:07.
So they put the clock back at 2:07. First incompletion, by the way, for Brett Rippon in his last 11 attempts to set up 4th down. That helps Virginia maybe get even better field position with a 2-minute drive possibility.
It does, and you could see the frustration on Brian Harsin's face. He knew they missed an opportunity there.
Last week, first punt return touchdown for the Cavaliers in more than a decade, and another play stopped. So Sean Wales getting some punting practice in.
The game clock started in error. It will start on the snap following the incomplete pass. Please reset it to 2:07. The clock will start on the snap.
Now, Coach, the home clock operator's not supposed to cost his team playing from behind seconds.
Yeah, we lost one close one like that, and I asked, and it's actually an official.
Yeah.
It used to be, Dave.
Yeah.
It used to be the guy that everybody knew at the barbershop.
Everything on the up and up. And now the third punt from Sean Whale. Canaday is going to come up and take it with a fair catch signal. So with 2:01 on the clock, the Cavaliers will start at their own 28-yard line. 2 timeouts. Remember, they used a challenge and had to burn a timeout when they were not successful very early in this game. But for Matt Johns, it's been hot and cold. Coach, Virginia, 2 touchdown plays, 1 of 75 yards, 1 of 45 yards, both through the air. On their other 26 plays in the first half, a total of 60 yards. So it's been all or nothing for Virginia so far.
They've had so much trouble running the ball that it's hard to have good protection, and they've put a tremendous amount of pressure on Matt Johns.
But those 2 big plays making the numbers look a little better now. Trying to throw a screen, and he just spikes it into the ground. Well, the defensive lineman for Boise State read that one.
Number 5 was in the area. 2nd down.
This is a tough series because if you go 3 and out very quickly, and Boise's got 3 timeouts, and they may try to block a punt, they're really good at returns. You could also put yourself in trouble. So Steve Fairchild has to try to make a first down, but you don't want to give the ball back with 1.5 minutes.
Yeah, I think down 15, you still have to stay aggressive, but you're right. A 3 and out with 3 incompletions and no time off the clock would give the Broncos another good opportunity. And we know how aggressive Boise State would be. That's the way they play. Showing pressure, but backing off, and now they do throw the screen to Mizell. And another good job by that Boise State defense. And now you wonder whether Brian Harsin might use a timeout.
Yes, I would think Brown will wait till after 3rd down, and he's still going to have it. Boise's doing a really good job showing a 5-man front, but only rushing 3, dropping guys off. They knew they had to tackle Smoke Mizell in space, and they're really doing a good job of tackling him because he's a really slick runner. They call him Smoke for a reason.
Well, we saw it on the 45-yard touchdown play. Other than that, he has not gotten anything going. 3rd and 8. 8th 3rd down, and they've all been 3rd and relatively long. John scrambling right, looking for somewhere to go with the ball. Still scrambling, gets away. Tyler Johns out into the open, goes into a slide, and he got the first down.
That's a huge play because now they can have a deep pass, throw something across the middle, get a chance for a field goal or take a deep shot, and they don't have to give the ball back to Boise State.
That one took a while. You don't mistake Matt Johns for one of the better running quarterbacks in the country, but he did a good job there. Now having to scramble again. Short gain, clock moving, and Mike London's going to use one of those 2 timeouts. He had to. Johns is hurting a little bit. So a quick timeout. We'll be back in 30 seconds to Charlottesville for the final seconds of the first half right after this.
What are you doing?
Psyching myself up to shame.
Well, in the rain in Charlottesville, Virginia using a timeout to stop the clock with 46 seconds to go until halftime. Cavaliers are playing from behind, 29-14. Matt Johns, who looked a little beat up, took a couple hits 2 plays in a row, and now Virginia moves.
Little stem by the defensive front of Boise.
Ball start. Offense, number 76. 5-yard penalty. It's 2nd down.
Well, Michael Mooney, who's turned into a good left tackle for the Cavaliers, kind of a developmental player, but that was a mistake. Second down and 12. Johns from the shotgun will throw it, and it is incomplete. Intended for Mizell. And now a penalty flag very late comes in. That one took a while. Chancellor James had the coverage. That's not against Boise State, at least according to the Broncos. That may have happened after the play was over.
Pass interference. Offense, number 4. 15-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
So it happened while the play was happening. It was just a little bit of a delayed flag. I think that's a good call.
Yes, it was a bad throw by Matt. It was behind him. I'm sure that Smoke Mizell thought it might be intercepted for a touchdown, so he had to reach out and try to stop him, and I think it was probably a good play. Good call by the official, in my opinion, but good play by Smoke. Now you're second down and long. Boise's still got 3 timeouts, so they're not going to use them until they make sure they can stop them.
Virginia now, I think, with that penalty, going to be content to let the half run out if Boise State lets them. Albert Reed with the carry. So it's third down and long, and that may well be the final play of the half, unless the Broncos choose to use a timeout.
This is a good stop by Boise. They didn't need to let Virginia score again right before the half. I thought they might call a timeout here, and they still might. Well, I thought they would, and try to block a punt. But Brian Harson's decided to take the 26-14 lead to the house.
Now hand it off to Reed again, and Reed will get some positive yardage on the ground game. And that is the final play of the half. Virginia fans not real happy. We're going to hear from that man, Brian Harsin, during halftime. But first, Adnan Virk, Danny Cannell, Joey Galloway. They've got the college football halftime report. And welcome back to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Jimmy John's. Virginia fans looking for something to get excited about as we start the second half. Boise State on the road with an impressive performance. They lead 29-14. Hi, everybody. Back here in Charlottesville, Dave Fleming, Coach Mac Brown. Couple things. Boise State, they won the turnover battle. That was huge in the first half.
Virginia coaches told us they've got to force some turnovers. They haven't forced one in 14 quarters, so that didn't work. They have had 2 turnovers that led to points. Boise State had to force 3. They forced 2, and they've protected the ball on offense.
Yeah, so that has gone the way of the Broncos. The other thing that I think has been a real factor, the play of the true freshman quarterback for Boise State, Brent Rippon. That takes us into our game track. Brought to you by Straight Talk, his first college start, and man, was he impressive.
I do think Boise State has found their quarterback. He's impressive sprinting to his left and throwing back with a soft throw to his tight end on the screen. He's been accurate on his flares. It's like a running game. He steps up in the pocket here and hits McNichols. So he's done everything right. He's protected the ball. He had 1 ball on the ground with it loose in his hand, but he's had an excellent first half.
So kickoff into the end zone for a touchback. Boise State will get the ball first in the second half. Before that, though, let's send it down to Allison Williams.
Talked to Virginia's Mike London at the half. He said in order to get in a rhythm offensively, they need to be more productive on the early downs. They're getting into 3rd and long situations and then struggling to convert. 1 for 5 in that situation. He said we had to keep finding ways to puncture their defense, get the ball to Smoke Mizell and Kanan Severin is key for them in the second half. And guys, you talked about the turnovers, so close to finally getting their first turnover of the year. He said he told my guys, just keep hunting, give max effort, and the ball will bounce your way.
Well, it is true. It's a good point, Allison. Thank you for the report from Mike London, where they have got to find a way to start making some bigger plays on the defensive side of the ball. Well, Brent Rippon rolling out, and he's going to throw the ball away on first down. Boise State with the 15-point lead and the ball to start the second half.
Virginia took a little momentum into halftime, so they need to get a stop here and try to get some points and get back in this ball game.
Second and 10 for the Broncos. On what is still a wet night, just a light rain falling in Charlottesville. Play fake, pass complete, and Shane Williams-Rhodes breaks a tackle, cuts it inside, and gets the first down. Nice move by the senior from Spring, Texas.
Well, Shane Williams-Rhodes is really good in space, and that's what he does best. And that's why Virginia knew that they had to tackle well in space tonight to have a chance to win.
McNichols in the backfield with Rippon. McNichols picks up the pass rush. Pass incomplete, though. Intended for Spurbeck. Boise State, and their offense was very efficient. The big plays helping that Virginia yardage total. I think that's where there's been some imbalance. Those numbers look pretty even. It's been 2 plays for Virginia. It's been more methodical, more efficient for the Broncos. Rippon avoiding pressure, still scrambling, and he's going to run. He gets a block, gets along the sideline, steps out of bounds. And I think he got the first down right to that mark. They're going to spot him with enough yardage to get the first down.
What a heady play for young Ripken. He steps up in the pocket. He gets some pressure from the twist at the top, starts to his right. Instead of running sideways, he ends up getting up the field for the first down.
12th first down for Boise State. And you see that number on the Virginia side, only 6 of them. That's where those 2 big plays have at least kept the Cavaliers in the game. McNichols on the ground. Boise State's run game probably hasn't been quite as robust as they would have liked it to be.
No, I think you'll see the offensive staff from Boise start trying to work that run game here more in the second half to be more balanced.
Well, Brett Rippon, who got to the line quickly, now gets the snap. Another handoff. McNichols picking his way forward. Jeremy McNichols for a first down inside the 45 of Virginia. They move the chains once again.
Big offensive line for Boise's had a lot of starts, Dave, so they know what they're doing, and they love to try to beat you down as the game goes on. The Virginia defense has been out there a long time.
McNichols 2 more touchdowns tonight. Nobody's had more in college football. Now they flick it back to Williams-Rhodes after the play fake from his wide receiver spot. Kelvin Rainey with the tackle. A solid gain on first down.
Have 2 plays up inside, and all of a sudden you try to get it to Shane Williams-Rhodes on the corner with a little reverse.
I haven't seen too much of the trick play assortment that Boise State has and uses a lot. Now they're going to flip it back to Spurbeck, and maybe thinking about it again. Spurbeck, who will throw. He's going to throw out of bounds. Incomplete. Well, they tried one there. You can almost feel it coming. I think they get impatient when they don't have a chance to use one of those plays.
Well, they like to use them on your side of the 50. They're moving in. They did get pressure here, and it was a good call by John Tenuta, but also
Rippon run. He'll get the first down. What a play by the freshman, and the best part of the play was his ability to avoid the sack.
You know, we've heard he's an average runner. He had really good quickness there, because all of a sudden Trent Corney comes up inside free, and it's a killer for Virginia's defense because they had the right call. They came free. Young quarterback Rippon makes the first down with his feet.
And now Thomas Stewart, the backup quarterback, the second quarterback in, and he hands off. That looked like Kelsey Young with the carry. So Thomas Stewart, the plan was for Stewart to get a whole package of plays in the first half early in the game, but Brett Rippon's just played so well. I think that blew up that plan.
Well, and I still think they're planning on something with Thomas Stewart here later in the game. They're bringing him in. He has a package. He's run the same play, same action twice, handed it off once, had the little speed sweep in the second part of it.
They did not announce their starting quarterback until Brian Hartson told Allison Williams about a minute before kickoff. Handoff up the middle. And inside the 25 down to about the 22, Kelsey Young with another carry. So that big conversion on 4th down. Stewart, who was a possibility, played last week just like Brett Rippon when the starter Ryan Finley broke his ankle.
And now 2 gains that were 2 yards in the first half are starting to be 4 and 5. You're sitting here 3rd down and 3. I think you're going 4 downs.
Boise State, maybe their one problem in this game, only 1 of 8 on 3rd down. Virginia shows some pressure, a delayed handoff, and McNichols can't get there. Got to the line of scrimmage, but I think that's it. Landing and Rainey, the safeties, came up to make the tackle. Now you're in much more reasonable field goal range, and it looks like the kicker's coming out.
Yes, when you're sitting at 4th and 2 or 3, good job by the defense of Virginia stepping up and making the stop. It's a little bit long to go for it. You don't want to give them momentum. You're trying to stretch the score.
He's made 2, missed from 54. Tyler Rausa will attempt another one here. It'll be about a 39-yard field goal try. Kick on the way. He has been excellent tonight. Right down the middle. Kick is good. 10:19 to go in the third quarter. 32-14. Boise State leads.
Hey, look.
Huge game tomorrow night in the Pac-12 Saturday Night Football presented by Wells Fargo. Number 9 UCLA. Where their true freshman quarterback Josh Rosen on the road against number 16 Arizona Saturday. Tomorrow 8 Eastern on ABC. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN. And our home field advantage brought to you by Quicken Loans. Arizona under Rich Rodriguez. Now they're 0-3 overall against UCLA under Rich Rod, but at home they have developed a really good home field advantage in Tucson.
Well, it should be a great game. It'll be fun to see Rosen and see if he can come back out of his funk here for the last couple of weeks at quarterback.
Boise State kicks it deep. The true freshman Zacchaeus for Virginia makes one tackler miss, is driven out of bounds at the 21. For more on that matchup between the Bruins and the Wildcats, let's go down to Allison Williams.
Yeah, guys, I talked to Heather Cox, who will be working the sideline for that game. Good news for Arizona fans. Scooby Wright, their star on the defensive side of the ball, did practice this week. They say that he is likely to play. On the other side for UCLA, concern definitely about depth on the defense. Miles Jack, of course, not playing, especially with that Arizona high heat. They expressed some concern about not having a lot of bodies on the defensive side of the ball. Guys.
All right, good stuff, Allison. They play up tempo. They run a lot of plays. The defense has to be on the field for a lot of snaps. It will be hot even at nighttime in Tucson. Smoke Mizell with nowhere to go. Driven backwards for a loss of a yard. Another tackle for number 51, Ben Weaver. Here's what Allison, Heather Cox talking about. Those injuries on the defensive side, maybe some good news for Arizona.
Well, we're seeing injuries all across the country. We talk about Taysom Hill at BYU, the quarterback, and Malik Zaire, and Michael Brewer up at Virginia Tech, and James Conner at Pitt. It's happening across the country, and it can change the direction of a football team's season.
UCLA, so much promise in the first 3 games, including a dominant win against these Virginia Cavaliers, hoping that the injuries don't erase that promise. Good open field tackle from Darian Thompson after the completion to Kanan Severin, who set up third down.
Now there's a lot of pressure on Steve Fairchild as the play caller, because Boise can come after them. They can drop 8. They can do anything to try to get pressure on Matt Johns. But the clock is working against against Virginia with a 32-14 deficit. 9 minutes left in the third.
This has been the spot the Cavaliers have been in all game long. 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 13. They complete the pass to Kanan Severin for a first down. Nice delivery from Matt Johns. So the drive keeps going for the Cavaliers.
Now you guys have to step up and make plays. You got Matt Johns, been around, had a tough night, but made some really good plays. But he's going to call out his senior receiver, Kanan Severin, and those are the type guys, he and TJ Thorpe, that are going to make the difference in this game for Virginia to come back.
So it's 1st and 10 for Virginia. There's TJ Thorpe, who had maybe the most dynamic play of the game for Virginia. The long 75-yard touchdown catch and run. Johns throws, and it is incomplete. Trying to dump it off short to Mizell. That has been such a problem, coach, for Virginia on first down. 16 first down plays, 14 of them for 2 yards or less. They've been in 2nd and long, 3rd and long all game long.
When we talked to the guys yesterday, they all felt like they had to stay balanced, and they haven't been able to run the ball on first down so far.
Johns under center. Sort of an offset I formation in the backfield. That fullback's going to shuffle over, and they will hand it off. Mizell looked like he had an opening, but that's been the pursuit. Now the ball's out, and they say fumble scooped up by Weaver. Boise State comes up with the turnover. Some of the Cavaliers are arguing that he was down. Mizell doesn't look like he thinks so. I don't think it was almost, he was so well balanced, so athletic, he stayed from going down. The ball popped out.
And it's our guy Ben Weaver that's the man on the spot and picks it up and heads the other way. But I also think that is a turnover.
A fumble is under further review.
Well, they're going to look at it, but that is a great look. Watch his knees. They're not down. They're still not down. And then number 24, Cameron Miles, comes in, pokes the ball away. Ben Weaver, I think he's been their star on defense right there to scoop the ball up. To me, that one's going to stand. That should be confirmed.
Yes, Cameron Miles comes in and knocks the ball loose. Ben Weaver's there, ready to pick it up. And if this stands, then that would be the third turnover for Boise tonight, none for Virginia. And that's what Boise State goal was. They felt like if they could win the turnover ratio and definitely have 3 turnovers or more, they would win the game.
9 tackles already for Ben Weaver, plus now that fumble recovery if the play does stand. So they are taking a look upstairs.
And when your defense is hustling and that ball's on the ground, you just get there before the other team. So you got to have a lot of defensive guys around.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. First down.
Yeah, I think Smoke Mizell knew it. I mean, he was trying to make a play, and he stayed up off the ground, partially because of that tackler who was on the ground. But look at that. Yeah, that's what you're talking about. That's the goal for Boise State. They want 3 turnovers a game from their defense, and they've gotten them already.
Well, and they've got 9 points off the turnovers already, and they're starting with great field position at the 30.
8:07 to go, third quarter. Brett Rippon with lots of time, going deep, Spurback, and it is caught. What a catch by Thomas Spurback. Touchdown Broncos.
Brett Rippon's pass complete.
Great call, really good protection, good throw by the young one, but the senior, Thomas Spurback, is the one that makes the great catch. You like to take a deep shot right after a turnover in your field position because you'd like to catch the defense off guard.
Well, tremendous, and if there was any question, I think that replay would show the ball was moving a little bit, but he definitely controlled it and got the feet down for the touchdown. 38-14 with an extra point try coming. And it has gone silent in Charlottesville. Kick is up and good. Defense creates the turnover. Offense there to take advantage.
Yeah, a lot of energy on that sideline for Boise State. That was a team turnover for them and points.
Thomas Spurback on the receiving end. Boise State pulling away from the Cavaliers. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. From ACC Country, we're here in Charlottesville tonight. The Virginia band is still very much into this game. The fans, I think, starting to be pretty discouraged with the way this one is going. 39-14. There is still a lot of time left. We're about halfway through the third quarter. 8:01 to go. In fact, in the third quarter, the Broncos come up with a turnover. First play after getting the ball back, score a touchdown. And now they kick it back to Zacchaeus and the Cavaliers. Zacchaeus into the open, still going across midfield, finally pushed out of bounds inside Boise State territory. So that's a positive play for the Cavaliers. The turnovers, though, have really hurt Virginia.
Yes, for Virginia to get back in this ball game, they've got to make some kicking game plays or explosives. Started the game with a turnover. Matt Johns with the interception for a touchdown. Came back. Interception by Darian Thompson, really good field position, and then just forced the turnover that led to 7 more points with Ben Weaver picking it up and taking it back. So Virginia's coaches were adamant they couldn't have turnovers and need to force them, and tonight neither one has happened for them.
Yeah, 3-0, so -3 in the differential tonight, -7 in the first 4 games on the season. Play fake. Matt Johns in the pocket looking to throw, and he will overshoot his man. It's almost another one. Nearly picked off. He had a receiver open. Cameron Miles, who forced the fumble on the last sequence, almost picked this off.
Yes, it's a wet field tonight. The ball was thrown too high. It was nearly an outstanding play by Cameron Miles.
Trying to find Evan Butts, the tight end, who had created a little pocket there. Second down for Virginia. And we've seen the Cavaliers tonight. They're 2 touchdowns on big plays on offense, so they have the capability. John swings it out left side. Mizell with 3 defenders right there. He gets away from 2 of them. Here comes the rest of the Broncos to gang tackle Smoke Mizell. All of that for a yard.
Really important to tackle a good player like Mizell in space. A lot of guys there for the Broncos to make that tackle. Now you got to go 4 downs. It's 3rd down and 8. So it forces Virginia in a position where they need to get 7 points.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question they got to go for it if they don't get it here on 3rd. Down 39-14 in the second half. In Boise State territory with the clock rolling. Johns with time, stepping up. Johns tripped up. Sam McCaskill got him, and he spotted back at the 42-yard line. So it is 4th down, and I've got to think the offense stays on the field.
Boise's done a really good job rushing 3 and getting there. And that's a coverage sack because the defensive backs are covering them. And Matt Johns comes out and they grab his foot and he falls. And now they got a 4th down and 8.
Now the Cavaliers trying to keep the drive going. It almost feels like it's hard to say with time left in the 3rd quarter, a last gasp for Virginia. And they're going deep into double coverage. Knocked away, incomplete. Cameron Miles making a big impact in this game. A forced fumble, a near pick, a pass defended. And Virginia turns the ball over on downs.
Yes, Virginia had to throw it in the end zone. Tough for them. Really good play by Cameron Miles. And that's a good series going into break here.
Brought to you by Scion. Premium standard features that actually come standard. Weird, right? And Coca-Cola. Open happiness.
So how about that? Yesterday we went out to the Carter Mountain Orchard just a few miles away from campus. And that was a pretty cool scene. Boise State getting the ball back. Jeremy McNichols took a big hit there and knocked out of bounds on the first play of this Boise State drive. The Broncos up 39-14, and McNichols, he looks a little stung. Quinn Blanding got the hit on Jeremy McNichols.
Quinn's a great athlete. He was the 2014 ACC Rookie of the Year. They're really excited about him. Really good pop on the boundary.
And that helmet made contact with McNichols' helmet. And that may be the issue for Jeremy McNichols. Nobody's got more touchdowns in college football in the FBS than McNichols. 2 of them tonight, 10 on the year.
He's a tough runner, north and south. So Boise's got to keep the ball now. They can't turn it over, but they can't quit playing. They've still got to throw the ball, and they've still got to play their offense. Virginia's got to get a score on defense.
Well, it'd be pure speculation, but that doesn't look like McNichols is going to be coming back in this game. Now a attempted screen play for the tight end. Brett Rippon took a hit there and wasn't, I don't think, real happy about it from Zach Bradshaw. Incomplete, 3rd and 2. Rippon will go to the sideline, and Thomas Stewart will come out. It gives Brian Harsin a chance to talk to, rather forcefully, his freshman quarterback.
This is the 3rd play for Stewart, so we'll see what comes out of his package.
Very good running quarterback. He's going to keep it, trying to pick his way forward. Stewart, and I don't know, it's going to depend on the spot. At least initially, indication was a good spot to give him a first down. See where they actually put the ball down. I think they gave it to him. Yeah, they're signaling first down, Boise State.
And it gave the coaches a chance to get Rippon on the sideline, make sure he's okay, and settle him down. Big first down for Boise.
And they'll let Thomas Stewart stay in the game, the sophomore from Baltimore, not far from here in Charlottesville. He actually is a little more familiar with some of the players on this Virginia roster. Virginia sniffed that one out. That was Mike Moore, the senior linebacker. One of those kids that Thomas Stewart knows from the Baltimore, D.C. area. Now Stewart back to the sideline.
Yeah, it came off the corner. This was going to be a bootleg. and really good play by young Moore. His dad, I remember very well, Dave, Sean Moore. In fact, he ripped us a few times when I first got to Carolina, and he was a great quarterback. But Mike's a really good player. No, his dad's proud of him.
Let me just say this. It wasn't just you.
No.
Sean Moore is one of the all-time greats. Rippon takes another 2 hits. Pass is incomplete, and I don't know. And I think the officials saying that maybe he got sandwiched a little bit. That was the cause of that second hit. Well, what do you think? There's one, and there's another one.
That's pretty late.
That is late.
If I was his parents, I'd be a little upset about that, or the Boise coaches.
Or maybe they're saying that he was shoved into Dante Wilkins. 3rd and 19. Rippon at slant, and Virginia started to read those plays well. Williams-Rhodes just had nowhere to go. Maurice Canaday with the tackle. It's 4th down. The Broncos are going to punt.
Well, really good stop by the Virginia defense. They should get good field position. They also have done a good job tonight returning punts, but Virginia's not going to quit. You got to like Mike London and the way he motivates this team, and he talks about never giving up and never quitting, and that's what his team has to do right now.
The problem for Virginia, I think they know that not only is Mike London a good guy, but he is a good motivator. He's a fiery coach. They need some bottom line results. So it can't all just be the emotion, the positivity, and the kids playing hard. It's another tough night for the Cavaliers. 3:54 to go, 3rd quarter, 39-14.
Jack Links.
Virginia with the ball. 3:54 to go, 3rd quarter. Matt Johns down the sideline for Severin, knocked away, incomplete. And here comes a penalty flag. Dante Dion arguing that he had good coverage, arguing that it was Severin who pulled him. But he is not happy with that call.
He's not going to win that one either way, and that's what Virginia's got to do. They've got to take some deep shots. They've got to get a couple of scores to try to get back in this thing at the early 4th quarter.
Both teams. Pass interference, defense, number 5. Personal foul, chop block, numbers 76 and 62 offense. Those fouls will offset. Repeat the down.
So there was a chop block on the offensive line of Virginia. The pass interference, the penalties offset. It's 1st and 10 after all that. You could see Dante Dion telling that official, that field judge, hey, when you get a chance, peek up on the video board, take a look, because I didn't do it.
Well, I've begged those officials to look at that video board many times, and none of them will turn around.
Never did.
They might think I'm right.
Now, Dante Dion's been a good player. Now Virginia makes another penalty along the line. Sloppy.
Full start. Offense, number 65. 5-yard penalty. It's 1st down.
I think when you're at home, there's no crowd noise factor. In fact, we were talking to the Boise State coaches about that, about how disappointed they were at home with their own offensive line, making those movement penalties. And basically saying there's no excuse for that. I think Mike London would agree with that. Hand off, and Albert Reed stuffed.
It's also frustrating for fans when Virginia's offense isn't built to come from behind. That's not who they are. They said they had to stay balanced. They have to run the ball to be able to protect. You're sitting here with 3:28 left to go in the 3rd quarter. You're down 39-14, and you're limited now in your play selection because you can't just go no huddle and open it up and throw it every time.
Well, and they're going to be playing from behind. Virginia's defense, it's only 3 games coming into tonight, but last in the ACC in points allowed, last in yards allowed, last in big plays allowed. They played a lot of good teams. That's another interception. And for Boise State, it's going to be another defensive touchdown. Mercy Maston picks it off and takes it to the end zone. The Broncos are just taking it to the Cavaliers. That about sums it up. 45-14.
Very tough night for Matt Johns. Start looking at it's a double slant. The ball was thrown to the outside. He's trying to get the ball to TJ Tharp. Really good interception by Boise. And all of a sudden, Mercy Maston takes it back for a score. and now you're 46-14 with your offense having to go back out on the field.
Yeah, and it was a good play by that senior linebacker who is not a starter, doesn't play a ton of snaps, but he sure looked like it there with the pick six, which is the second of those in this game. The defense has also produced a safety. So the defense alone has scored 2 touchdowns plus gotten a safety. And those non-offensive touchdowns, Boise State starting to gain on last year when they had 7 of them. And if you just including the Broncos defense, they're back ahead of the Cavaliers overall 16-14.
And I'm impressed with their depth. They're playing a lot of guys. We're calling a lot of names out that are second teamers that doesn't look like there's any drop off when you're seeing a Cameron Miles in there and you're seeing a Mercy Maston. Those guys are still playing hard.
Well, the team from the Mountain West, I mean, they're deeper than the team from the ACC. They are.
They are. It's an impressive performance so far by Boise tonight. And again, we said we think they found their quarterback.
I agree with you. Zacchaeus from around the 8 to the 25 to the 30. Kick return game's been a little better for Virginia. A tiny bright spot with a penalty flag at the end of that play. In fact, 2 of them, and maybe a late hit. I think that one could be against Virginia. So they're going to sort out this call. I think we will have a call at some point. Maybe there were 2 flags thrown. Maybe there was a discrepancy in terms of the officials who threw the flags, who committed the penalty, what it was. They're having a little debate.
So I think Reggie just said, am I riding with you, or how are you getting home, or a lot of discussion there.
After the play, personal foul, late hit away from the play. Receiving team number 85. It's a 15-yard penalty from the dead ball spot for 10.
Well, Mike London can't believe it. What else can go wrong? Keon Johnson with the personal foul. Tomorrow night starts at 7. College football primetime presented by Hilton. Number 14 Texas A&M against a desperate Arkansas team. And then USC Arizona State, the 19th ranked team of the country, trying to bounce back from their loss against Stanford. We had a new quarterback. It is Connor Brewer, number 2. The backup in for Matt Johns, and he hands it off on the first play. A nice run with a flag thrown, so I think this one is coming back. Daniel Ham picked his way forward, but I do believe another penalty against the Cavaliers. Turnovers, penalties.
Holding, offense, number 50. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Well, Connor Brewer and Coach Mac Brown, you know a lot about Connor Brewer. It has been a long and winding road to make it here to Charlottesville.
Yes, we signed him at the University of Texas. He's from Scottsdale, Arizona. He was one of the highest recruited quarterbacks in the country. Then he redshirted for us. He transferred to Arizona. He sat out. He played in only a couple of games there, and then he graduated. Very bright young man, good arm, good athlete. Then he transfers to Virginia. He didn't get here till late summer, so it'll be interesting to see how he does tonight.
And it is true. He announced that transfer to Northern Arizona. Then when Grayson Lambert transferred out of Virginia to Georgia, Connor Brewer, a spot was open here. And that's kind of how college football works these days, Coach, where I mean, you don't want to use the term free agent market, but those grad transfers bounce around, and Connor Brewer is the backup and getting some playing time tonight against Boise State.
It's become a real factor in college football, Dave. We're looking at Vernon Adams, who left his team to go to Oregon and then goes back to Western Washington, to Eastern Washington to start the season. Everett Golson leaves Notre Dame. Eric Zier gets hurt here last week. Grayson Lambert leaves. It's really crazy out there right now.
So Brewer getting a chance to play on 2nd and 16. Another handoff. It's Ham once again to the 15 and no farther. Well, the grad transfer rule, which really has changed the landscape. Mac's talking about it, where if a student athlete has athletic eligibility remaining can enroll in a graduate or professional program at a different school with an academic program that's supposed to be different than what his current school offers, he may be eligible to compete immediately if they have not previously transferred from a four-year school. And we are just seeing more and more players use that. If you get your degree, I think the theory behind the rule is you work hard in class, you earn your degree, you get the freedom to go somewhere else. That's a completion from Brewer right near the first down mark to the tight end Charlie Hopkins, who is a grad transfer from Stanford. Virginia's got more of them than any other team in the country.
Yes, they really do. Connor Brewer stays in the pocket. He's got good protection, stands tall, makes a really good throw. But there's two graduate transfers that we're talking about. And also TJ Thorpe, who started this game with a catch down the boundary on a flag route for a touchdown, also graduated from North Carolina. He'll be playing against them in a few weeks.
That, by the way, we talked about all those stops for Connor Brewer. That's his first pass as a college player. This one tipped up in the air, and it's intercepted. Dante Dion, his 16th career interception, his third of the year, and I don't think that one's on the quarterback. Severin couldn't hang on. It popped up in the air. Boise State comes up with another turnover.
No, Connor's very talented. He throws the ball right where it should be. And the Severin's hit, the ball pops up in the air. Again, very alert by Darian Thompson of that defense for Boise.
So the kid with 16 career interceptions knocks the ball loose. The kid with 15 career interceptions picks it off for number 16, Dante Dion. That is quite a combo in the secondary of the Broncos. Boise State, Brett Rippon still in the game. Piling on now. They'll run a pitch play. And a nice burst from Devin Demas. Second down coming up for Boise.
And we're going to see Boise start running the ball more and more with their power downhill.
How about that? So since these two guys started playing for the Broncos, Thompson and Dion together, 32 interceptions since 2012, have more than the entire Virginia program in that time.
That's very impressive.
That's hard to do.
It's hard to do.
And it's not just Virginia, more than a bunch of other programs. That's the end of the third quarter. All Broncos a long way from home, but it's like they're playing on the blue turf tonight. 46-14 as we go to quarter number 4.
Chiefs, Packers at 8:15 Monday.
Big 46-14 lead here on the road at Virginia. They're used to dominating teams at home. 94-4 on the blue since 2000. So they wanted to bring some of that mojo on the road with them. Now at home, they have what they call the victory tunnel, which has several signs and team mottos. So they put them up here as well. You see the sign, the respect all, fear none, 1-0, their weekly mantra. And yes, even a piece of the blue traveled here to Virginia. Coach Harsin said, hey, we're not playing on the blue, but we want to bring that same mentality.
Good stuff. I think that has worked here on the road in Charlottesville.
Offside. Defense number 32. 5-yard penalty will result in a first down.
That's offsides against Mike Moore, who knew it. Well, there's the piece of turf. They can't bring all of it, so they just bring a piece of it to remind the players who have played so well. And it is true, since they started this little tradition, they don't think it's a total coincidence. They played a lot better away from home. Straight up the middle for no gain. One thing that's been neat to watch in this game, Brian Harsin, he's got the freshman quarterback making his first start, and he's obviously played well. But we have seen Coach Harsin. He's doing a lot of in-game coaching. It isn't just play calling or managing the game. He's doing a lot of individual teaching with his young quarterback.
Brian's one of the best quarterback coaches in the country. We had him at Texas for 2 years, and he did a tremendous job for us.
Kelsey Young with the carry left side gets dragged down at about the 20. Thought maybe he had not been down. Well, you're talking about your time with Brian Harsin at Texas. Some shots from the two of you together with the Longhorns.
Yeah, I really admired Brian Harsin. He did a great job for us. All the things we see tonight, he did at Texas for the 2 years he was in Austin.
And I think he knew one thing that was Very self-aware. Rippon's going to take a big hit. He goes down. He did not see that rusher coming. That was Micah Kaiser from the linebacker spot.
Yes, Micah Kaiser's been really good. Virginia's tough down the middle of this defense. It's an all-out blitz here. He comes free, but he makes a good, solid tackle.
That one hurt. That pushes Boise State back. They will use Tyler Rouse, who's had a good night as the field goal kicker. A 45-yard try coming up. Little high snap, good hold, kick on the way, and it's good. Kicking game really impressive for the Broncos. Of course, what hasn't been impressive, 49-14 with 13:26 to go.
Let me get this straight. You quit your job, sold all your stuff to get a new car, and now you're just going to...
From USC, and scholarship surprises, those moments on social media where a coach, where a program surprises a walk-on with a scholarship, some of the coolest moments in college football. All that and much more. College Game Day built by the Home Depot tomorrow from Tucson at 9 a.m. on ESPN. Kick return here. And a good coverage job by the special teams of Boise State. Leonard Fournette, who was impacted as so many players were 10 years ago, Hurricane Katrina, including that kid, Armand Nance, who was a very good player up the middle. Hometown Houston, but he is from New Orleans. And a lot of those folks who lost their homes went to Houston. And this is the generation, right, Coach? I mean, that was 10 years ago. A lot of those young kids who moved on, found a way to pick up the pieces, are now playing college football.
And it affected us a lot in Austin. A lot of those guys lost all their academic records. It was really a mess there for so many different reasons, but even impacted the athletic world.
And Leonard Fournette not only survived that challenge for him, for his family, he has become one of the stars in the country. Connor Brewer still in at quarterback, a handoff for no gain. Jordan Ellis, the tailback now. Connor Brewer, the backup. Matt Johns did not have a good night. The starter has been playing well, a couple touchdowns, but number 15 threw 3 interceptions, had an intentional grounding for the end zone for a safety. 13 of 26 overall.
Matt Johns, a tough kid and a smart kid. Yep. He's been around a long time. He'll bounce back.
But the first real chance after all those years of waiting for Connor Brewer on 2nd and 12. And they're being very conservative with him. Daniel Ham with the carry outside the 20 to the 23. The Cavaliers are going to fall to 1-3. But one thing about that, nobody, and I mean nobody in the country, has played a tougher schedule than Virginia so far.
No, they've played 2 top 10 football teams and UCLA on the road, Notre Dame at home, lost in the last 12 seconds. Fought through an in-state team with William and Mary last week that's very well coached, getting whipped pretty good tonight, but they'll start over. They'll have a new start for the conference schedule next week.
I think that is one, as Brewer tries to scramble and throws low, incomplete. There really was nowhere to go with the football there for Connor Brewer. It's 4th down. Virginia will punt the ball away. They don't really have a choice. But this is the last non-conference test for UVA, and with conference play starting after a bye week, I think that'll be what Mike London tries to do, hit the reset button and say, all right, non-conference is over, we got a new season.
Well, Mike's a tough coach. He's very popular with his players. They'll work really hard next week to correct all the mistakes they've made in the first 4 games and get ready to open conference season.
Nearly a blocked punt, but a good punt. Fair catch called for by Shane Williams-Rhodes. Timeout in Charlottesville. Boise State up huge.
Looks like some folks have had it with their airline credit card miles. Sometimes those seats cost a ridiculous number of miles. Or there's a fee to use them. I know, it's so frustrating. They'd be a lot happier with the Capital One Venture card, and you would too. Why? It's so easy with Venture. You earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day. Just book any flight you want, then use your miles to cover the cost. Now that's more.
ESPN College Football is presented by Jimmy John's, freaky fast sandwiches. And in part by Allstate and the Allstate AFCA Good Works team, recognizing athletes for their charitable work. Visit ESPN.com/Allstate to learn more.
Bono's Bagels become sort of an institution here in this great college town of Charlottesville. On first down for Boise State, a pass completion from Brett Rippon out to Jake Rowe, the tight end. They bring in the water from New York City to make the authentic New York bagels.
Well, Charlottesville's a special place. You're from this part of the country. You're from the state of Virginia, and we've enjoyed our couple of days here.
Yeah, my home state, and it's a beautiful time of year to be here. But Virginia fans are down about the state of this football program, and there is pressure building on everybody involved. That's a screen play. Shane Williams-Rhodes, just not a lot of room there. ESPN College Football Primetime presented by Jimmy John's here from Charlottesville, where it's been all Boise State. Dave Fleming, Mac Brown, Allison Williams. 62 degrees at game time. We've had a light drizzle. Certainly has not made a huge impact on this game. I think it's made some impact. 3rd and 3 for the Broncos, who are happy to let some seconds tick off that clock. Rippon from the shotgun's going to take another hit. He's going deep for Spurbeck, who's got the catch, and he gets away. Spurbeck, end zone, touchdown. Man, did the kid hang in there. He took a shot and delivered a perfect throw. 64 yards, and all those fans way up high here at Scott Stadium who came a long way to watch their Broncos have enjoyed every minute of it.
Well, and people might say, why is he throwing deep with this big a lead? You got a young quarterback you're trying to teach him. It could have been a check as well, but he's going to keep playing.
Extra point up and good. 3 plays, 71 yards, the long touchdown, and it was impressive. He took the hit, hung in there. And we heard about his arm strength. We heard about his deep ball. Yeah, I think he throws a pretty good one. All Broncos tonight. Through the rain in Charlottesville, you're watching the ACC on ESPN. And the weather, I think, sort of matches the mood of the Cavaliers. It has been a beatdown. 56-14, Boise State looking tremendous on the road against a team from a Power 5 conference. But who's been the power in this one? It's been the Broncos, about to get their 3rd win. Still 10:26 to go in the 4th quarter. The kick return team for Virginia's gotten a lot of practice. Zacchaeus will be swarmed outside the 20-yard line. When we're done here, Jay Harris, Lisa Kearney in Bristol standing by. Break down this game, other college football action, and all the action from the pennant races in Major League Baseball Sports Center at night when we are finished on ESPN. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN. And for both sides, they might well wish that the game would end sooner rather than later. Boise State would like to get heading back home, and Virginia is not having any fun tonight. Brewer, the 2nd-string quarterback in. And the Broncos run defense came in 2nd best in the country. Only Boston College, who we saw last week, really stifled Dalvin Cook and Florida State. But that run defense again tonight has been awesome.
It's very impressive, and Virginia thought they had to stay balanced, be able to run the ball to win the game and stop the run, and they've done okay against the run, but they have not been able to establish anything tonight in the running game.
There's Marcel Yates, the defensive coordinator of the Broncos. He's got to be very pleased. They've created 5 turnovers. They've scored 2 touchdowns. They've got a safety. They've stuffed the run, and now they get the quarterback.
Now Virginia's in a very, very tough spot offensively because the Boise defense can just line up and get after that quarterback.
And basically across the board, I mean, I'm looking at numbers. This is basically the 2nd string across the board for the Broncos on defense.
And we have to remember, Connor Brewer didn't get here till 2-a-days.
Yep.
He had to stay at Arizona to graduate throughout the summer, so this is all new for Connor and really his first real experience as a quarterback in college.
3rd and 12. Screenplay. They complete it, but not nearly enough. Did not sell that one real well. Daniel Ham tackled well short of the first down. So 4th down, another punt coming up for the Cavaliers.
All Virginia can do is keep playing, and everything I know about Mike London, they're going to keep playing because he's passionate, and they will keep working for him, and they know they've got a new start in 2 weeks. They've got a lot of work to do before they start the ACC conference games.
They do. A low punt. It's going to bounce and then take a Boise State bounce. Cavaliers will down it at the 42-yard line. Timeout from Charlottesville. 56-14 Broncos. Well, maybe the star of the night, the true freshman making his first start, Brett Rippon. The starter gets hurt last week. Brett Rippon steps in for Boise State, and Coach Mack Brown, man, has he been good.
What a night did he have. A lot of questions answered tonight for Boise. Could we go on the road? Could we win 2,000 miles plus away? Could we go through time zones? Could we be on grass? And would our freshman quarterback play well? And he has done that.
Yes, 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 yes. Now Thomas Stewart in the game, and he throws over top the defense. Austin Cottrell, the sophomore wide receiver, makes the catch for another big gain deep into Virginia territory. So Thomas Stewart, who we knew would get some snaps, and if Brett Rippon hadn't played so well, maybe would have gotten a few more with a long completion. 1st and 10 Broncos, and a handoff coming. Devin Demas. No gain.
Tough thing for Brian Harsin and staff now is you need to get Thomas Stewart some game reps, and you need to have him work. And you got a 56-14 lead, 7:40 left in the game. You're trying to run the ball, but he needs to still run the package that he may have to run next week in a real ball game.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, look, the score is lopsided, but if you get your second stringers in there and you're working on things, I don't think an opposing coach has a problem if you're letting your second stringers play.
No, and it was something I didn't do very well as a coach, Dave. When we got way ahead, I would shut it down to keep from embarrassing them, and that wasn't fair to our second and third team players.
Handoff. Straight ahead running. That's Jack Fields with the carry. Brett Rippon, he's getting some love on the sideline from his older, more experienced teammates. 24 of 35, 321 yards, 3 touchdowns.
And they told us he could spread it around. 13 catches by the wide receivers, 5 by the running back, 6 by the tight ends, 254 yards after the catch. Very, very impressive night for the young man. Great future ahead.
Yeah, great bloodlines, football family. And man, Boise State has to be thrilled with the way that he has played. Play clock winding down, 3rd and 8. And they're just going to hand the ball off. No gain for Jack Fields. Well, Brett Rippon, whose uncle Mark, you may recognize the name. It took him a while to find his way into a good opportunity in the NFL, but with Washington, he found it. A lot of wins, a lot of touchdowns thrown, and a Super Bowl win, a Super Bowl MVP for Mark Rippon. And his nephew has looked the part. Mark Rippon was known as one of the great deep ball throwers of his era and of any era. And, man, I think Brett got that trait. On 4th down, they will carry the ball. On 4th and 8, not going to kick a field goal. And I think that's sort of an example of not just piling on with points.
Classy move.
Yeah, Virginia stops Boise State and they'll get the ball back.
Yeah, classy move by Brian Harsin. He needed to get Thomas Stewart some work, but he didn't try to score. He ran the ball 4 straight times, and instead of kicking the field goal or trying to throw down in the end zone, back of the end zone, he just handed the ball off. He makes the first down. If you score with a second team, good thing. If not, great win for Boise State on the road. And I can tell you, Dave, there is nothing better in football than a win on the road where it's against a good football team, and Virginia is a good football team. They still have a chance to be good, but coming this far with overcoming some odds with a freshman quarterback and winning. It's going to be a fun dressing room here in a minute for Brian Harsin and his staff and those kids. And a great trip home, may I say.
5:42 until they get to celebrate. Connor Brewer will hand the ball off. Daniel Ham tackled right at the line of scrimmage. I think, you know, we see this Broncos team last year. They went to the Fiesta Bowl as that champion, highest ranked champion of the group of 5 conference champions. And this year, if you think about some of those teams where you figure will be in that mix, Memphis with an impressive win last night. Their offense is rolling. Temple is undefeated with a win against Penn State. Toledo has 2 impressive wins. Arkansas, Iowa State, Houston went on the road to beat Louisville. The thing about all of them, to get that guaranteed spot in a New Year's Six bowl game, you not only have to have the impressive overall resume, you do have to be a champion of one of those group of 5 conferences.
And we're going to enjoy seeing Memphis in that offense next week against South Florida and Tampa on Friday night. That'll be so much fun. But it'll be fun to watch them.
And speaking of Memphis, Boise State, this finishes their non-conference, and they still got a lot of work to do in what could be a tough Mountain West. They'll have some tough teams to contend with. The Mountain West has been up and down so far this year. But Memphis gets a chance to play Ole Miss at home. Temple has a chance to play Notre Dame in Philadelphia. There's the rest of the schedule for the Broncos at Colorado State, at Utah State. Those aren't easy games. Air Force is a tough-minded team. There's a pass complete from Brewer. And a Virginia first down. So part of it for Boise State, the work in the non-conference is done. The impressive victories that they've piled up, they'll be 3-1. And then wait and see, jockey for position to get that New Year's Six bowl game berth. But clearly this is a team that is in that mix. And you think about the one loss that they do have, basically a Hail Mary type play on 4th down. BYU gets a touchdown. Otherwise, Boise State wins at BYU. Forget about just that guaranteed spot. The Broncos would be in a position where we'd be talking about them as just a playoff contender. And that dream is probably over because of that loss at BYU. By the way, noon Eastern tomorrow. BYU, another tough test for them on the road at Michigan.
BYU and Michigan have 2 of the toughest non-conference schedules in the country. BYU's been at Nebraska, at UCLA.
Yep.
They played Boise at home, now going to Michigan. Give Bronco, Mendenhall, and BYU credit for playing that type schedule.
And I think we do need to point out, that's almost intercepted, that BYU, we don't include them in that list. BYU is clearly a high-quality team, but because they are an independent, they are not in the mix for that guaranteed group of 5 champion spot. They have, if they want to be in one of those New Year's Six bowl games, they have to earn their way up against not just the group of 5 teams, but everybody in college football. The committee would have to judge them as worthy of one of those spots on their own. There's nothing guaranteed about it. They're not in that mix. Makes it a lot tougher for BYU to find their way in one of those big bowl games. That pass is caught by the tight end, Evan Butts. Virginia first down.
Connor Brewer's made some very impressive throws. Tough time to be in the ball game right now. Everybody's gone home. It is over, and you got to give him credit for the limited amount of snaps he's had in college. He's standing in there and throwing. Dave, I would also say Houston, very impressive with their win over Louisville. That was a big surprise to folks. And look at Toledo. They go to Arkansas and win, and then beat Iowa State last weekend.
And Toledo will be to the MAC. The MAC has, we saw Northern Illinois almost take down Ohio State in Columbus. So the MAC will be, as usual, very rugged. Nice play by the defensive lineman there for Boise State. Bowles, Derek Bowles with the tackle behind the line of scrimmage.
Northern Illinois is going to Boston College tomorrow. They'll have a new quarterback because we saw them lose Darius Wade last weekend.
Yep, a chance for Northern Illinois to get a win against a Power 5 team on the road. Ohio's got a pretty good team this year in the MAC. Bowling Green has an excellent team with a high-powered offense.
Dino Babers, very impressive coach at Bowling Green.
Brewer steps up, avoids the rush, but can't get away. Sam McCaskill with the sack. Assuming the score holds up, this will be the biggest margin of victory for Boise State against a Power 5 team. Well, also very interestingly, I mean, we can think back to Boise State's history. The Fiesta Bowl in 2007 against Oklahoma, which in a lot of ways thrusts this program onto a different level. Last year, Fiesta Bowl win against Arizona. Neutral site wins against Power 5 teams. This will just be their second win in a true road game at a Power 5 team. So a lot of those signature wins, either bowl games or neutral site games. Brewer had the pass knocked down, almost intercepted. They won at Oregon back in 2008, which was a landmark win for this Boise State program.
And a lot of people don't want to play them, Dave. That's the other thing.
You're right about that.
I wouldn't play them. I can promise you that. But Brian Harsin really came on the scene with the trick plays at the end of the Oklahoma game and the Fiesta Bowl. And that's when, as offensive coordinator, his name got out there.
4th and 16, the punt for Virginia. End over end, and Boise State will just let it bounce. Down at the 35-yard line. Okay, you reference that game. We've got it. This one, and you're right. This was something else. We will never forget this one.
No, he's got the flea flicker, throws the ball inside and pitches it outside. And then the Statue of Liberty to go for 2 to win the game. And it captured college football fans all over the country because those are 2 really unique plays. And you can see Chris Peterson being so happy. Brian Harsin designed and called those plays.
And when Chris Peterson moved on before last year to the University of Washington, that's the guy that Boise State called. I think that's the guy they knew all along they wanted. Second year as a head coach. He was a finalist for the National Coach of the Year award last year. Had a great season last year. He has got a really talented team this season.
Yes, and Chris Peterson did an unbelievable job at Boise State. You got to love everything he stands for. He'll do the same thing at the University of Washington. But Brian Harsin came to the University of Texas looking forward to trying to get back to Boise. So he's really happy with his role right now.
448 yards of offense, creating 5 turnovers, points on defense, pressure on the quarterback. Excellent performance from a true freshman, Brett Rippon. Add it all up, and a major victory for Brian Harsin and his Broncos.
Yes, and we will not see Mike London and his team lay down. I promise you, Virginia's going to go back to work, and they'll be ready to play in 2 weeks.
So the teams will meet at midfield, shake hands. And not a happy head coach for Virginia, that's for sure. Mike London's team got beat up by Boise State. Final score 56-14 for Mac Brown, for Allison Williams. Dave Fleming saying so long here from Charlottesville. Now it's time for SportsCenter.